Can you hear us, Terrell? We can't hear you. Okay, say something again because we couldn't hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
You're awesome.
Whoop.
Anyway, make sure.
Hi, trying to deal with that, losing everything.
And the view,
Yeah, view.
it's just put, and gallery.
I liked the gallery view at the last meeting, 'cause it wasn't panning around to everybody, it just kind of found a face and stuff with it.
So do we take a roll call first or do it after? Okay, sorry. So I guess I'm gonna call the meeting to order and we're gonna stand and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we do roll call.
Mayor Wood.
Here.
Pete Happy,
What is it? He's coming over.
Tom Bramblett. Courtney Kyleman,
Present.
Sherelle Price,
Present?
Tiffany Pruitt,
Here.
Bernard Seeger,
Here.
Butch Miller,
Here.
Nathan Jones,
Here.
Colleen Poole,
Here.
Mary Payne, here, Laurel Nagode,
Here.
Okay, now we need to elect the budget committee chair. Open for nominations.
Madam Chair, I nominate Tiffany Pruitt.
And second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then we need a nomination for a vice chair.
Who is the current vice chair?
I would have to go back and read that right here. How about I make a motion to nominate Butch Miller.
I second it.
Any discussion? Is
that okay with you, Butch?
It's okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so be it. Okay, now we need to approve, hopefully you all had time to read your minutes. That was toward the back of the first section. Hold on. Yeah, this first section, sorry.
I make a motion to approve the minutes June 10th, 2025, but the meeting. I second that motion.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Approval of the budget committee meeting guidelines. And first off, before we get started, I want everybody to know, we still have a really cheesy audio system, so we can't talk over each other and we can't have side conversations. It's just because people out there can't hear it. They can probably hear it live, but when the recording comes around, you just can't hear anything. So guys, you really have to talk about something, go into the next room and come back. Otherwise, we're gonna try and keep this going efficiently and so that the people can listen to it too. Do you want me to make them or I don't need to read them. So we have the guidelines on the table in front of us. We start at 6:30, we have 8. We'll end at 9 unless we have a consensus to continue.
Or you pass the budget.
Or we pass the budget.
Just.
You're asking a lot, okay. You know, I know what I just said. Wait to be recognized and one at a time. Right, and if somebody brings up an item or issue not on the agenda, I'll take a poll to see if that's what the majority wants to do, so we don't get bogged down, because time is of the essence. We have 2 weeks. Whatever we don't get done tonight, we will be doing and staying until we get done next week. So that's the timeline. We don't have any more time, or we can add another meeting. I mean, if it's gonna be tremendously slow, I think we just all want to try and get it done but we want to do it right at the same time. Committee, okay, so if you miss a meeting, call somebody and they'll bring you up to date, or watch it online. So, and if someone votes in the opposition to the majority, I'll give you an opportunity to explain why you so choose. And then we'll also accept public comments, but seeing no public, that should not be a problem. Okay, okay, budget message. Oh, okay, okay, somebody needs to make a motion to approve the budget committee guidelines.
I make a motion to approve the budget committee guidelines.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion, Courtney.
Number 3, are we gonna define consensus?
This will be the majority like it is in the council. Will be the
The
majority,
majority present.
yes,
Majority of the committee,
present,
8.
No.
8, you
okay,
motions or consensus or anything.
so that means that there's only 8, we all have to approve, yeah,
Right.
there you go,
Thank you.
And that's,
thank you
that's-
for clarifying,
sorry, and that's true, even with 2 vacancies on that?
That's correct.
yes. Cause 8 is a,
Well, you could do is, I guess, with 7, because you've got half of 12, 6 plus 1. 7.
so 7 is the consensus, any more questions?
I was just gonna point out that number 2 says if it's only 12 bodies, then the committee, the majority would be 7.
There you go, even though I just read it. Sure you want me to be in charge? Okay, interesting. Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Okay, now the budget message.
Thank you. I hope you all had a chance to read the budget message. I guess I'll start with the third paragraph. Budget is based on the best available data. With the incomplete audit since 23-24 fiscal year, this budget includes many assumptions, some of which may change as the audits are completed. A lot of your questions may have to be answered. That's our best guess. We don't know because the audits have not been completed. I hope not to become a broken record, but that is really the reality with this budget. And I'll talk more about that if there's, as we go through it. We're using the same basic goals that the council had last year, because we didn't have time with the leadership change to review it, and 2, the number 1 goal was still the number 1 goal, and that's to bring the audits up to date. We have done the 22-23 audit. We are in the midst of the 23-24 audit. We hope to have it done by the end of June. 23-24 by the end of September, 24-25. Well, that's not.
You're off one.
I'm behind you here.
Yeah.
By December of this year, we hope to be current.
Yes.
And again, we'll go through each of the line items, each of the pages for the beginning fund balance, property tax, revenues, administration expenses, all the rest of that stuff. So I don't think I need to take time to explain it here. One thing I do want to highlight is on page 4 of the budget message. And that's the administrative overhead. Administration covers the whole operation of the city organization. But the costs are proportionately based on the proportion of personnel services and materials and services. This is, the way it was done previously. The last 3 years, it was done differently. It resulted in different amounts being charged in each department. Wasn't proportional. So we've gone back to that, fair to all the departments. And I'm gonna show you this little, on this page 4 and 5. Total administration and personnel costs are $784,751. Of that, that is 31.1% of the total down at the bottom, 2.526085 million. And likewise, their 78% is 3.1% of that 2.5. So if you apply those percentages to the 784,751, that's what each department pays. In other words, administration cost is going to cover 243,000 of its own. Property, 3.1%, 3.1% of the 784,751 is 24,467. So that's how those numbers are derived. And if you look at the top total admin, 784,751, and the total percentage applied to admin costs down at the bottom right, 784,751. It's exactly the same. That's the proportionality, and it works the same way with materials and services. 347,122 materials and services for admin, which is 7.4% of the budget. 7.4% of that is 25,859. The electric department gets hit the biggest because they have the biggest materials and services budget. They're buying power. They're selling power. And so that's why they get, but it's proportional based on the costs. That this formula was developed by I did it based on a forensic audit in a previous city, but substantiated by Ken Onstock, but he was our our auditor. So that's how I wanted to make sure you understood. If every department is charged proportionately for their contribution to the tool. Does that make sense? Is there any questions about that or what? Sure.
So let's take property. So property's at 3.1%. And I understand that 24,467 divided by 784,751 gets you your 3.1. But tell me again, where did the 3.1 come from?
3.1%, if you take the 78,758, which is their total personnel costs in property, is 3.1% of the 2.5 million.
Oh, the 2.5, okay, thank you, got it.
So that's, it seemed easier to do this in a table than try and show it to you in a spreadsheet. That's my, I guess my final comment to you. Now, 2 comments. Included an organizational chart. Last year, there was some effort to build a public utilities director. I'm sorry, that's the city administrator job. And so, because if I didn't have that to do, I wouldn't have anything to mess up. Yeah, I'm sorry, these guys are behind me.
I know.
But I included in that organizational chart a vacant position called the deputy recorder, the accounting assistant, which we used to have. That allowed us to do segregation of duties. In our audit in 22-23, one of the findings was that we did not have separation of duties. So that position, when we're getting to a position to have that back, will allow us to have that segregation of duty in our staff. Because we don't have that right now, that was in the 22-23 audit. That segregation of duties finding will also be the 23-24 audit, 24-25 audit, 25-26. We have taken some steps to do it as best we can, so that by the time we get to the 25-26 audit, that finding may go away. We don't know until we get there. So that was why I included that position in that organizational chart. And I guess the last comment I have to make, in every spreadsheet, there's at least one listing. It's a given. And if it's a spreadsheet of this magnitude, there might be more than one. We've already been identified some spelling errors, trying to catch everything, but we were focusing more on the numbers than the spelling. But all in all, it's a pretty good budget for what we know. There are weak points, the sewer department, the fire department. Fire departments typically can't fund themselves. But we'll get into that when we get to the fire EMS department. It's like swimming pools. The city swimming pools are a hole in the ground you throw money. Just don't ask the Federal Parks and Recreation District to just pass the on. So I guess that's my message to you tonight is, please understand, it's the best numbers we can identify. As we go through it, as the audits are completed and come up to date, it may change this information. If it does significantly, we can bring you back together July, August to do a supplemental budget. If it belongs to the rules, the corrections need to be changed by a supplemental budget. But it's the best we can do with the information we have. Is there any questions that, Ben?
So on the functional organizational chart, I'd like to see the citizens of Cascade Locks at the top of that. Back on page 2 of 5, you said property tax revenue with a total current city valuation of 162, is that million?
Yes.
That's million. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Page 2, under number 2, property tax revenue. That's toward the bottom of the page there. Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, so, and I've sent these to the administrator and our finance director, but, can you tell us a little how we got such a big bump in our city evaluation in 2 years?
Yes, sir. It's automatically 6% increase. So 6% takes it to 158 million. You do another 6%, it's 158 million. Plus we had the development, and there may have been some reassessments. So it's the normal growth out of it. And there.
I thought we were capped at 3%.
It is the way, if I understand correctly, market value can go up whatever market value goes up. And we are assessed at 53% of market value in Hood River County. So if that market value goes up, it's 53% of that. That's the ratio. So it's just the numbers that were on the Hood River County website.
Okay, all right, I've got a few other questions as well. So regarding we spent some time on the, our council goals from last year. The one that, and I'm very pleased with what, what we're doing on each of those, the audit, public safety funding. The one question that I guess I wanted to introduce to this committee was maybe increasing code enforcement by 10 hours. I know when I was first advocating for this last year, I wanted a full-time code enforcement officer, but our budget was tight and didn't seem like that was in the cards. But I was trying to get a hold of our code enforcement officer, try to have a conversation like, how is your workload? If we gave you 10 more hours, could you fill it and improve a lot of the quality of life things we see happening when you have an effective code enforcement officer? So I didn't get to have a chance to have that conversation, but maybe city administrator has a take on it. But I'm of the opinion that there's probably at least 30, if not 40 hours a week of code enforcement work in our town. I don't know that for a fact. That's just my basic, intuition. But I'd like to get some sense of that. And if there is more work than 20 hours, then I want to entertain a conversation about maybe upping it to 30 hours a week instead of 20.
Okay, currently he's not working the 20, he usually works more during the summer when the weather's better, he can think around. Code enforcement is complaint driven. If you start doing 30 or 40 hours a week and have him going around looking for problems, you then become adversarial in your code enforcement. I'm not sure that's a good take, but if the council decides to do that down the road, they can do that. Jake does a nice job. He deals well with the people that he deals with. And if he's not available to do something, then I do it. And the city administrator can fill in those kinds of roles and do those kinds of things. But right now we're complaint driven, not
Site driven.
what driven?
Site driven.
Site driven.
I mean, the site of the.
Except for tall grass.
Yes.
The fire chief and the code enforcement officer and city administrator will drive around town and find those lots that need to be mowed. And we will take action on those lots. That's probably the only time we will actually go out and look for visible code. Jake does do inspections, drives around, he sees all that car's been there for a couple of days, let me see what's going on with that. Or that trailer's been parked there for a couple of days, let me see what's going on with that. But it's generally complaint driven. And right now, 20 hours a week is adequate.
Okay, well, for what it's worth, I don't think your time is well used being a code enforcement officer. We pay you way too much for you to be doing code work compared to how we pay Jay. So if there are times when his workload exceeds what his 20 hours and he's dumping on you, to me, that's an inefficient organization. We are running we're not getting our value for a dollar.
I appreciate
And
that.
that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, but I stepped in when Jake's not available to do the immediate stuff, so that we don't let things sit there. That's the only time I shut there.
But if we had him 30 hours, would he be available for the quote immediate stuff? Wouldn't that make him more accessible to do that?
He has another full-time job. This is a side job.
So he didn't have the capacity to do more. Okay. Well, that's, you should have started with that. Okay, let's see. And then on page 9, it says,
Page 9 of.
of the budget message.
Page 1.
Yeah, 9.
Page 1.
Okay. On, but
Maybe it's not 9.
no, it's 9. It's the second, it's paragraph 9.
Oh,
She's on page.
I think that's.
oh, yeah, exactly, yes. With contingency fund, it said, this may be another area where service fees or other revenue streams be explored. And I asked, was that for sewer? Are we looking for were you proposing new revenue streams for sewer?
It's sewer or fire, and it's basically, you have to do rate increases, rate sewer and fire and grants. And that's where it's other things that we can provide. Grant.
Okay. But, okay.
It's, I don't know how you do other.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a rate system that we can adjust to meet the needs of our sewer system.
Right.
Yeah, okay, all right, fair enough, thank you.
I think the mayor has something to.
I have a question, just, I wanna make sure that we're legal on our budget meeting. I know we advertised that we were having it, but there's no agenda online. Should we have an agenda online?
No, I think we're fine.
We're fine?
We can, at each agenda point, we can announce what we're doing.
Okay, Okay, and I sent it to Sherelle, so she's got it. Just wanted to make sure, I didn't want us to go through all this and find out we get
So
it.
we're still on the budget message, and if there's any questions about the.
Yeah,
the-
Bernard, are you good?
Okay, that was my last point. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions on the budget message?
I just wanted to clarify, so under contingency funds, that's where, if, for example, there's a grant that's available, that would be,
No, the comment was under contingency funds. If we're looking for other funding sources, the rates are actually the fund that we would increase. And grants, we have a grants fund. That would, money would go grants fund for, receipt of revenue and expenditure of revenue.
excellent.
Anybody else? Okay. So. So we need to open the hearing on public uses of state revenue sharing. So, I just did that, right?
Yes.
And that would be on page 7 of this first part. So I do have a question on it. Usually we have 13,000 this year, we only have 12.
That's correct. That's the estimate from legal brief.
Okay.
That's a number they get from the state, just passed.
So the proposed uses for those who are listening are $3,000 for senior sewer subsidy, $1,000 for reverse 911, $3,000 for Mid-Columbia Community Action Council, and $5,000 to support community programs. And being the public, can I close it?
Yep.
So I'm gonna go ahead and close the public hearing on possible uses of state revenue sharing. Now, did anybody have any questions on this?
I just wanted to clarify for anybody who's at home and just watching that the difference, the 1,000 was taken out of, support community programs budget. That was it.
Sorry, if this is listed in the budget somewhere and I missed it. Do we have a list of the community programs we currently support, where that money's currently going?
That's grants where people come in and say, I want to do this thing, can I?
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's on an application and then council decides and then we
There's no,
give them,
consistent.
Yeah.
Activity.
So open anybody to apply everywhere.
right. Sometimes we use it for pictures, the
Community
community.
Community,
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just,
Acon.
yeah.
Yeah,
Really,
I was curious, what did we do last year?
I have no clue.
we did National Night Out
That's,
and I believe we had, can't remember who came, I never, if anybody did, but I know we did National Night Out. I know the year before we did one to the school fundraiser and there was another one that I can't remember what we did, but I remember the school fundraiser. So. So those are some ideas of where. we could spend money, or where the money could be spent. But
And the
yeah,
National Night Out was for our 3 FTE and fire and our half FTE that we get support from the River Sheriff.
Mhm.
Were they involved in that too?
they came down, yeah,
but we didn't.
but I think we paid for food or something, I know, yeah,
Food.
food, yeah, I think we paid for the
But we
food.
didn't pay the sheriff.
Yeah. Well,
They were able to park it.
we do in a roundabout way, but, okay, so is everybody satisfied with what's presented? Any objections? Okay, now we go on to approve the standard rate, property tax rate of $2.7005. Yes, 2.7, this is such a weird number.
$2.70.
Okay,
per thousand of assessed value for the fiscal year, 26-27. Same number it's always been, never changed.
You can decrease it, but you cannot increase it.
I move to approve the property tax rate of $2.70 per 1,000 of assessed value for fiscal year 26-27.
Okay, okay, second is, any discussion? Not that there's much we can do about it.
Has there ever been an appetite to go to the voters to increase that?
You cannot go to the voters to increase it, you have to go to the state legislature. They are not. Nice question, but it's got that the state sets that rate. Ballot measure 5051 in 1998.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 and 50.
5 and 50, yes.
The rest of them.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. And now we get into the fun stuff. Is it possible to work on those guys first so that they can get out of here? Or, I know we usually do admin first, but we have.
Sure.
We're paying these guys to be here, and so.
Are?
I thought maybe, okay, maybe not, maybe we're not.
asked to be here, not told to be
Oh, okay, okay, you were asked to be here.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what is the think? Should we just go line by line, or should we just let these guys go first and then?
We can land on the first, but before we get to that, I want to look at the first line, the general fund. So I can explain.
So first line,
First line, general fund revenue, current year budget, $144,650 per beginning fund balance. You will notice in the current year actuals, there is no beginning fund balance.
Yep.
Why is there no beginning fund balance?
Because
We don't have the audits. I wanted to start with that because that's the comment that you're gonna hear over and over again. So if you go all the way over to the revenue where we have a beginning fund balance of 150,000, that is our best estimate based on what we know be the beginning fund balance. So that first line gives you, I'm just, we don't have the audits for 3 years. What we as a staff are doing right now in order to complete those audits is we're going back for 3 years. We're examining every transaction. Where did it come from? Where was it supposed to go? Where did it go? And how to move it? That's what our champion here is doing. And so this budget is based on our best guess of where the money is, where the money isn't. You will see a lot of things. It's not in there because the monthly bank statement has not been reconciled since September of 2023. You haven't balanced your checkbook at home since 2023. You don't know what you got. I know some of these younger guys can just look online and, I'm sorry, I'm a check. What's a check rate? So I just wanted, that is the problem we have in this budget, but and that's the resolution or the approach that we have to take is what is our best guess. You will see time and again, interest not there, some there. Because nothing has been closed out, recorded, moved where it's supposed to go since now CFO started. All right. Shall we start with EMS first?
Sure, yes. Okay, so we're, well, I was gonna ask, is that what people wanna do? Cause I don't wanna have these guys set.
Yeah.
While we're hashing it. Okay, so we have to go back to, we have no tabs, so you're gonna have to go back and you're just gonna have to find EMS one. In your right hand corner, about this far back. so everybody knows. Sorry, you're a little penal, I like my tab.
Oh, you're all tapped.
Yeah, I'm all tabbed out, sorry. I take this serious. This is my serious job. Yeah.
It's not too far back.
It's not too far back. It's not
20 pages or
that
so.
far back, guys.
After straight.
There you go. Okay. You. I think you ready to go back?
Right. This way.
Let's still,
Keep going. There you go.
Pull up the chair. Mr. Fire Chief.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, which fund are we looking at first? I missed it.
Mike, EMS.
Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Anything you want to tell us about your budget?
So this budget looks very identical to last year's budget. No big changes, that I put in. Keeping everything status quo. If you look at equipment maintenance and vehicle maintenance, that number shot up quite a bit over what was
Okay, what
budgeted.
page? You gotta give pages.
Page 3. It's the line item 4. Most of that is our backup generator failed. And so we had to have a generator guy come in, repair that, and we also had an electrician come in and make sure our automatic transfer switch was working. So that was not a planned event. One time when the power went out, our generator just stayed on. It wouldn't kick itself off. So that's where that big increase came, and aging equipment is taking more to maintain those old equipment than it has before. So that's the biggest outlier that I know of. But everything else is pretty much status quo from last year. Other than like insurance and all that stuff going up, but that's not in our control.
So on page 1, there is another outlier there that for the transfer from other funds to last year it was 497,000 and this is 281,000.
all I can think is the 291,000 plus the property taxes. Allows his fund to be balanced. I don't know where the $497,000 came from. I could not figure that out.
And I'm gonna suggest to the budget committee that we're gonna have a lot of these weird anomalies that we're just not gonna be able to answer at this time. So we can ask the question, we'll be told that same thing, that it's an anomaly that we don't know what to do with. And I'm gonna say that throughout the budget, I saw some adjustments to things that seem to adjust it back to normal. Because last year was abnormal in a lot of different ways, so we're just gonna have these weird things that nobody's gonna be able to answer because the people who are here to make them happen are not anymore. So unfortunately, we're kind of restarting from scratch on some of these things. Does anybody have any questions for the fire chief or about the? Go ahead, Bernard.
Okay, so I'm never comfortable when a fund doesn't have a contingency. And so I think the committee should consider changing the transfer to be more than 291,000 if the general fund can afford it. It looks like it can. Because our contingency is exactly. So I don't know. I'd like to propose we increase that to say, 310 or 325, so they'll have at least a $20,000 contingency for almost $1 million operation. They've got nothing right now. It makes me very uncomfortable. And I made this comment, as a general comment when I was giving my feedback to the administrator, but I think we should do our darndest to make a budget that's accurate and reflects our fiscal reality. And right now, when you do a budget that doesn't have contingency, you're not really being honest with that fund. That fund should have a contingency, therefore the general fund can have a little less money. That's a more accurate picture on how we should be conducting our operations.
What page is that on?
What's number 4?
Page 4. What page is that on?
Specifically,
What you're talking about, yeah.
it's the first one. Oh, you know about the.
The contingency, yes.
Yeah, it's the last page. That's for.
Yeah.
So everybody knows what you're talking about.
Right. So that would be my first recommendation, is that we increase the transfer from the general fund. So they have some type of contingency should they require. I mean, not to mention, we went from a $1.014 million budget last year to an $870,000. That's a pretty dramatic decrease.
Which you don't
But,
know how that.
but again, that's the anomaly that we're gonna be.
I know, well, it still makes me uncomfortable.
I appreciate that. Our budget philosophy is you estimate your revenues low and your expenses high.
Yeah.
And you make sure they balance. And what happens is if you get more money than you've got, then you've got more to spend.
Sure.
And if you estimate it high, you don't spend that much. If a cost comes in that would be covered by contingency, maybe you can take it out and move within other funds. Then you don't have to move contingency, you don't have to do that. I appreciate what you're saying. Well, I don't think $54,000 in the contingency for the general fund is too high.
Stellar.
It's,
I agree.
where did we put it? I decided to leave it in the general fund for the time being, because it's an estimate on your property taxes. The rest of it, again, is based on numbers that may be inaccurate. So we'll do what the budget committee, offers to do, but
I was gonna say, maybe we just table that till we get into the general fund and see where we can maybe come up with that other $20,000 and have the discussion.
I'm
about,
open to that as well.
Cause I feel like we're doing the right thing by getting these guys out of here, but it's a little hard to comment on that until we know.
the rest of the budget.
And not only that, I mean, I know you think it doesn't accurately reflect the budget, but it shows the reality of our budget, which is going to be a talking point this fall for us. So, I mean, that's my feeling on it.
The other thing I wanted to point out is you do have a contingency fund in the general fund.
Right.
And if you run into a situation, you could transfer contingency from one into the other, is that correct?
It depends on what amount and all the time. There's some very strict rules on how to use contingency funds, but yes.
From the general fund, say, into EMS.
And if we needed to get a supplemental budget, we bring it back, we do it.
Okay, I got a few more. So, looking at the firefighter paramedic budget.
Tell us what page you're on, please, when you
the
guys have
first
questions.
one,
EMS.
EMS one.
Okay.
Am I correct in understanding that, we budgeted 122 for 3 of these firefighter paramedics? So their salary is a little over 40,000 per person.
Don't forget overtime.
No, cause we've also budgeted 73,000 plus for overtime, so every shift they work, they get overtime. Cause they're on a 56-hour work week,
Okay.
and so 122 is of their base for their normal salary, and then the overtime is for those additional.
Okay, so a better way to calculate their salary would be 122 plus the 73,
Yes,
divide that by 3.
yes.
Thank you, that makes me feel much better, okay. And then on gasoline and oil, EMS 2. We did 10,000 last year, we did 11,000 this year. I noticed that the current actuals are really all over the map, like whether those are accurate or not, it seems like there's a lot of uncertainty. But we're seeing dramatic increases in all of fuels. You guys, that's a lot of diesel, right? So it's 11,000, did we adjust for this new price environment that we're all seeing?
I mean, it was definitely a best guess, looking at actuals from previous budgets and where we were previously, and then accounting for the higher fuel prices today. But I mean, tomorrow they could shoot way up, or they could bottom out. It's really hard to wrap my head around what an actual number is. I knew that some increase was going to be needed.
So do you have do we track like how much fuel you use in a given year? You know that, like.
I mean, we can pull all the old statements and look at how many gallons we purchased.
So if you had that, then it would be like, okay, let's assume $4.50 or $5, how much per gallon? And then you've got a good number here, right? Did you do that?
I did not.
Okay, so we're kind of, okay, all right.
And we still getting, do we still get it from photo? Yes. So I think it's-
And occasionally, if we get called out of town, we have a Wax card, which is basically a credit card that we can get fuel at any station. We used to have a CFN card. Well, CFNs are not as available as any gas station, so we switched to a Wax card, and those only get used maybe twice a year. So it'd be pretty easy to do what you're asking. I'm wondering if ODOT, since they have the computer.
They probably have that
They
data
can
as well.
provide that for us,
Yeah.
so we go back through every statement monthly and
Yeah.
tracking that.
Right. Well, like I said, my guiding light is, let's do our best we can to both forecast revenues, but also expenditures, given what we know. And what we know now is that, yeah, we got increased gas prices. And arguably, all the gas line items should reflect an increase, given what we're all seeing, so.
Oh, and there is, I mean. I'm. 10 to 11. It's a Brenda.
It's almost a $3,000 increase, and I understand what's being said. I also understand that it probably varies how many miles you go every year. I mean, it's not the same every year. Depends on how many calls and where the calls are to and all that. We never run out of gas. Right? So we always can get, because, I mean, it's really hard with the numbers this year, you know, because lack of a better term, the books are not good.
Courtney,
Just regarding that, with the price fluctuation of diesel, it would stand to reason that tracking your gallons spent every year would help make it easier to budget for how much money you're gonna spend, because now you're looking at the actual prices of this year. And you're taking that into account of how many miles you drove last year versus, well, I spent this much last year, gas prices are a little bit more, so I'll spend a little bit more next year. So it wouldn't be unreasonable to track mileage.
Bernard, was that all you had?
That's it, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions?
I have one question for the fire chief. I was just wondering on the maintenance of our vehicles. Page 3. Do we have a schedule to where, or do we, so first of all, if we have a schedule. Cause what I noticed is like, we'll have like 4 of them done at the same time. Is that because we have somebody coming out and we do them all at once, or do we do them when they all have something wrong with them, or?
No, so since we're not like a super busy department that drives them thousands of miles a month, our equipment gets serviced once a year. Minus the command rig, it might get serviced twice a year. And that's all done by a third-party vendor who is emergency vehicle technician certified, which is a huge thing if something were to break on that. And we had a mechanic that was not one of those, it would be pretty bad for the city. So unfortunately, those guys cost more than a regular mechanic. And they usually come out sometime in the August to October timeframe, really dependent on how fire season's going, when they come out. So we can have that rig out of service for a couple hours while they service our equipment. And when they're out there servicing it, they're also inspecting it, to make sure everything's good.
And is it, accurate to say that that's why we do multiple rigs at the same time, is to save on cost, because there's probably a fee for every time they come out as well?
So they usually come out and they will maintain, they'll do all of our fleet at the same time.
Okay, okay.
And they'll just, it usually takes them about 2 days and they'll start and just work down the line and get them all serviced.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then I have a question on page 1 of the EMS on the Multnomah County contract. Are we gonna try for more?
We are, again, I'm only one person and I'm trying my best to keep up with everything. Multnomah County is kind of put the back burner, right now, with the food and beverage tax that is going on the ballot. So, it is on my list to readdress at a later date, is to come up, go after them for more money. If you notice the Forest Service contract went up $250. And that was a 5-year contract to house one of their engine companies inside of our fire station, which has been extremely positive. And it will continue to go up $250 every year. That was my best guess on how much toilet paper and stuff they were all gonna use. Our first year was 10,000, and the second year, starting this 5-year contract, was 10,000, and then it progressively goes up. And the actual on fire and ambulance service fees for this year is not correct. Mary and I have addressed that number post this getting printed.
On the current year, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I was.
This 25 were more in the 110-ish range, I think.
And then I have one question. As far as the Multnomah County contract, does it require you going to them, or is it something like the city can mail a letter and start the conversation for you?
So previously, the previous city administrator and I sat down and chatted with one of their commissioners and got that ball rolling along with Multnomah County EMS. This is the department that we report to for our contract. So historically, when we first started this contract way back in the 90s, it was 10,000. And then in 2006-ish, it jumped to 20,000. And then in 2024, 2025, it jumped to 40. And that was just a quick compromise to get something in place to move forward. But then we kind of got sidetracked into some other things, but it is on my list.
Thank you.
And the fire and ambulance fees mainly come from our ambulance fees that we collect when we transport people to the hospital. And I would say that Medicare and Medicaid pays us about a third of what we bill. So it's a struggle for all fire and EMS. If we collected every penny that we got, or that we billed out, we'd be having a whole different conversation.
Any more questions? Anything else you wanna tell us?
Thank you for your time and volunteering to do this for us, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
We appreciate you, Jim.
Yeah.
Pete.
the Multnomah County contract, can you explain a little bit more what that means? And how much does it cost for us to provide that service? How much, we're making $40,000 from them. And how much does it cost for you to provide that service since they're waiting for us just to say, sorry, we're not gonna do it?
I mean, we could say we're sorry, we're not gonna do it. So our contract is from just east of Multnomah Falls. So anything east of that, excluding the parking lot and the falls itself, to the county line is our contract area. And the bulk responses are on the freeway. And just talking to some folks that have been around a long time, the reason we started this contract is we could provide a quicker service to that area than AMR can coming out of Troutdale or Gresham. And it was more for the public's benefit to start. We spent about 20% of our call volume there, which a couple years ago when we ran the numbers, 20% of our budget was $76,000 a year. Corbett Fire also has a contract with Multnomah County to provide similar services. They don't bring an ambulance. And so that was kind of our carrot that we were hanging out in front of them, that we bring an ambulance to the party. And Corbett gets paid considerably more than we do. The issue we were having is they look at medical calls only, where we look at all calls in that contract area, including fires. And so there was some discrepancies on how many calls we actually responded to in Multnomah County, because EMS only pulls the medical calls. They don't pull all the other call types. So we could tell them no, but then we would be short even more money, $40,000. And that helps, but doesn't fully cover our costs there. But I'm hoping that in time we can get up to that.
Which is, what do you think?
Which would be about 20% of our budget, which is what we cover there with an automatic COLA increase per year.
And I guess that's why I asked the question is, I think it's good that we do what we do, and I think we're doing it for the right reasons, but at the same time, it's costly for the city, it's costly for our residents. And I wondered if we'd have more teeth. We just said, we just simply can't afford continuing off the service.
That was one of the last cards we were gonna hold close to the vest until if we were gonna just stay at 20.
Would it reduce your operating costs by not providing those services? So I know we're gonna lose the 40,000 revenue, but what kind of a change would you see on the other?
I mean, it might a little bit, but probably not substantially.
Like what?
Like
Drop
we,
some expenses.
yeah, we dropped some medical supplies expenses, but not necessarily fuel mileage, because even if we didn't service that area, we're still transporting that way and driving that way. But fuel would go down just a little bit, but not to be significant.
But you also have to understand, when we respond to the car accidents on the freeway, they pay 100%.
Yeah.
Their insurance companies pay 100% of the bills.
Yes.
So that 40,000 supports our efforts where we get much better return on the freeway accident.
But it doesn't pay for staff.
Auto insurance
All
is
that,
wonderful.
and,
We're
yeah,
paying for the staffing. So they're on
just saying, we're talking points this fall. Laurel.
I think last ditch thing would be to say, no, we're not gonna do it. I think it's obvious from the discussion that we're having that this is an area where there's a lot of interest in this room to work together to try to get this number up. And that perhaps separately from this body, to form a group that might be willing to strategize about how to approach Multnomah County and to get, so that you have the help that you need to do that. And that we can work together to try to get that amount up to a level equal to 20% of your budget.
Were you done, Pete? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just, I think the sticking point for me is just the equity thing with, Corbett's getting higher compensation for providing similar services, it just doesn't feel.
We're not.
Yeah, if I missed it, I apologize. So 20% of total. Do we know, if I looked at the billing, the medical billing we did for the last year, you pull out that section of revenue to say, and we pulled in X thousands of dollars because we serviced Multnomah County for the last 12 months. See what I'm asking?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure our billing company can't do that.
I mean, I'd be curious to know that, because I think that's part of the negotiation conversation. If we pull out of this thing and we lose that revenue, and just to be clear, 20% of state 71 is 176. That's what the contract arguably should be. We're at 40.
Well,
But again, it's not completely accurate if you don't include the medical revenue. So anyway, just when we restart these conversations, to me, that you should have that data at hand. So we know that in the back of our head, and we're negotiating with some of those, numbers.
to be clear, it'd be 160,000 minus the 40, because we already get 40, so it'd be 120,000.
Right, I understand. Total would be 176.
Sorry, your comment made me think of another question. So the revenue that we generate from those, insurance companies that were responding to those accidents on 84, is that included in the 150,000 in fire and ambulance service fees?
Yes.
Got it. And I guess your question is what percentage of that
Exactly.
150,000 is because of that one?
As a result of
That'd
the
be really helpful to
current
have
area
that.
for Multnomah.
I would guess to say that it would be a pretty big portion of that, considering that Medicare calls and things like that in town are only paid at 3% or whatever, 30%. So just a ballpark, kind of just for lack of time, just so you kind of know, most of that is probably from the freeway.
So not only are we fighting Medicare and Medicaid, that's a national problem, but also the uninsured. They generally just don't pay, and so.
Correct.
We send them to collections, and after so many years in collections, then it just gets wrote off.
Anybody else? Anything else you? Here, sure.
One more question. Do you have anything that's on your wish list that,
Yes.
one thing that's on your wish list that you could not put on this budget that your department, if you could have anything, and I know it's a fire truck, but something besides that, like equipment or something like that. Something that you guys need that is attainable, that council could keep in their mind that if something happened, we could make that happen.
Wow, just put me on the spot.
I know.
I guess I would like to increase, on page 3, EMS 3, the bunker here, which is our protective, ensemble that we wear. So they're finding out that most of the older, gear that was produced has this chemical in it called PFAS, and PFAS causes cancer. So not only are we getting cancer from going on fires and dealing with smoke and all that stuff, but the gear that's manufactured for us to wear also has it in it. Trying to figure out a way to as efficiently and quickly replace our gear that has no PFAS in it, is one of my high priorities.
How much does it cost for each set?
About $3,600, and that's just for pants and a jacket. And those are the main components that have this PFAS in them.
And I just wanna make one more point, since we have the budget committee here and we're gonna be talking about food and beverage tax and all that. We don't even supply raincoats to our volunteers to go out on these calls because we don't have the money to do that. Or did we change?
The volunteers, through some fundraising are ordering 10 of them.
Okay, good job.
But up until this point,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Yeah,
And I'll bring one to council to show council when they're here. They look,
And
they're gonna look pretty nice.
And for those who wanna, if somebody wanted to order an ambulance, how far out are those now?
3 years, and they're about like, one without a lot of fancy stuff is like 350,000. So,
Go ahead, Srini.
John, how many firefighters do you have in the department right now?
knew somebody was gonna ask me that question. We have 3 firefighter paramedics and myself that make up the career. And before I had my gallbladder removed, we had 17 volunteers, but in the last month and a half, we've onboarded 5, or we're in process of onboarding 5 more.
So you gave us 1 gallbladder, you got 5 volunteers.
Wow, I don't have any more gallbladders to give, so.
And do your folks share that bunker gear?
No, each person is issued their individual set.
Okay.
So far, we've had enough. The coffers of extra is getting low.
The rough numbers, 4,000 times 25 people, 100 grand.
Gotcha. And is that something and forgive me, I know I'm not, I'm not up on emergency services and all the protocols, but is there any chance of getting those from other folks that are not the PFAS or whatever, that don't contain the PFAS? Or they need to be new? It's not something you can buy surplus or something like that from other agencies.
There's a lot of departments in the same boat as us, but this research just came out within the last year and a half. And so everybody's trying to figure out how to get their staff out of gear with PFAS.
Maybe there's some grant opportunities out there too, maybe.
Yes, we are looking at the AFG grant, the Assistance to Firefighter grant through FEMA, and trying to determine how much time and effort that's gonna take to get that off the ground.
And remember, it's really hard to get grants with your audits not up to date. Laurel.
And one last question.
I'm sorry, wait, were you done, Sherelle? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say I'm super impressed with how many volunteers you've got. That's really great. And yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
So I'm not sure how it works, but I know that, for example, there are raffles to benefit the fire department. Is that money in this budget or is it separate?
It is separated. So all the fundraisers that you see around town for, I think Thirsty has a little donation jar, that all goes to the Volunteer Association.
Okay, and that's separate.
And that is separate. So really, there's 2 entities that work at the fire station. There's the city that provides the building, the trucks, the equipment, the uniforms. And then there's the Volunteer Association, and they raise money for things for them. Like they've bought a TV for our training room so they can watch TV there and hang out, but we can also use it when we're providing classes for our staff or outside people.
Are they a 501c3?
They're a 501c4. I'm working on getting them to want to be a 501c3.
I was just one more question on the bunker gear. Is that the equipment that has an expiration date as
Yes.
well?
10 years
Okay. And how
from manufacture date,
Yeah.
not from in-service date.
How old is
So
ours?
we don't necessarily. I would like a rotation, so not every year we're buying a couple sets instead of
All of them expired.
all 25 sets expiring at once, right? Which is kind of where we're at. Some of the older gear was purchased on a FEMA AFG grant, way back, and that stuff's all expired, but I mean, we have, from that grant, we have helmets that are upstairs, brand new in the box, that are technically expired.
Is that it?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Here's on to water then. What do you next, Sheldon?
Well,
Wait.
if you do water, you gotta do water,
Water,
street,
treatment.
sewer,
Yes.
and all the rest of that stuff.
Okay.
Not just do.
Okay. Electric, we'll just, okay, all right, all right. You were so close.
He was trying to do it too.
Electric is gonna be
Hey,
pretty far back. Just much farther back than. Like almost to the, okay, fine.
What are we looking at?
Electric.
Electric.
Electric department combined. Almost all the way to the back of the, first, that second section before the blue page. So the city light, is that what we're calling it?
Yeah.
There's ones before that also.
Electric department combined, keep on before that. Right
Okay,
there.
there
Electric department combined,
One.
one. Page one, good place to start. Okay. You're up, Mr. Fox. Tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, the good is actually, I'm really happy with the budget and where it's at in here. I think that we can accomplish a lot of the stuff that I talked to you guys before in the meeting about, the full testing I can get done on my contracting services budget, since we won't be using their three contractors now to do the day-to-day operations, so I can use the budget for that. We did add a separate section here. One of the biggest changes was we itemized the right-of-way clearing, so you guys can see that that's separate from our regular contracting services budget, so you can give an idea of what we're spending there. I think with that budget moving forward next year, I think we can be in a really, it's slow right now just because we're so far behind. It takes a lot longer to clear it when it's really grown up, but I think moving forward after we get the major parts done, I think that we can maintain it for somewhere around that budget. But after next year, I'll have a really good idea of how much we accomplished during the year and where we're at there.
Just hold on, just so everybody knows, that's on page two, the right of way clearing toward the end of that page.
And there'll be some, like there's some for South Bank as well. South Bank's actually higher because we have a lot more right of ways out there. We have to clear them out here. But a lot of these items will mirror themselves in one department or the other.
Okay, I'm just gonna explain that really quick. So we have two departments kind of in our department, in our electric company. What we provide to the city and what we provide to South Bank, which is Bonneville on, correct? Or is Bonneville, okay.
Yeah.
So, South Bank, when we're talking, that's why you're in here, you have three different sections. You have the combined, you have the city electric, and then you have the South Bank.
Okay.
So there are three different, so you can see them apart, because that's my fault, because because there are different things that cost for South Bank, like we have more right of ways and they need to pay for that. And I will have I have something to say at the end of when all this is done, but there's more to it. But so that's what, right now, we're working on the combined,
Okay.
South Bank, but when he's talking South Bank, that's what he's talking about for those who are new.
And that covers all the way from out of town up past Bridalville.
Yeah, so it goes, the Eagle Creek Fish Hatchery is our closest customer on this direction. And then, our farthest customer is that big white barn that you'll see off the freeway, that 3-story white barn. That's our farthest customer. And then we go up the hill a little bit to Bridalville.
Okay.
So. Yeah, other than that, I mean, that's some of the only really big change I think we made from previous years. Like I said, that's why we kept the contracting services about where we did, is I know we're gonna have a lot of expenses coming up this year for that. One thing that we didn't address in here is truck replacements. We talked a little bit about replacing the pickup truck that I'm using because that's a relatively cheap vehicle. We do need to start looking in the future to start replacing the bucket and the line truck, but I think we can put that off until the following year. The bucket truck's been working pretty well for us now after we put some work in it, and it's been running every day and we haven't had any more issues. So I'm hoping that that'll keep us going for a little bit. So I think next year we'll start addressing the equipment more. The storage of the transformers, I know that we're working on a building right now. I'm hoping we have great news about that. And if that building goes through, that's gonna solve all those issues we talked about there. So that'll take care of a lot of those problems. The mapping that I'm looking at, same thing. I'm hoping to take care of that under the contract services budget, so. Yes.
Thank you for separating out the contract services right away clearance. I think that was a comment
Yeah.
to you guys before. And the big point of comment was it's missing in the
Yeah,
description.
I already said that in.
All right.
Yeah.
But thanks for the explanation.
Yeah.
Glad to see it separate out to be a little more clear.
Okay, Mary Ann, on some of the, and I think this is probably gonna be an ongoing question throughout all of the departments, in the email that I sent you, is the interest the changes to the interest income on page 1.
Okay, so let me try to answer that one.
Yeah, yes, please.
The interest was not dispersed. It was all put into one line item, not apportioned out based on the fund balances.
Can you break that down a little bit more?
If we had $1 million in the local government investment pool, we got 4% interest. That $40,000 went into the local government investment pool in the general fund and not taken out. Because the local government investment pool has all of the funds proportionately. And the interest was not proportioned proportionally to the monies in the
Cool.
pool.
Does that make sense? So we put our money in one spot, get the best interest rate we can get.
It's all in there, whatever.
Right.
Of that $1 million, $500,000 is the electric, or 300,000 for water, or, whatever those proportions are. But all of the interest went to the general fund and not the fire didn't get their portion.
Right.
That's one issue. And then the other issue is because the books haven't been reconciled, the money hasn't gone to where it's supposed to go. So that answers all of your interest questions.
Go ahead, Renee.
Okay, but just, I understand we got some errors here, so. When does this get fixed?
As you do your audits and the audits adjustments, then you build on your next audit, then the adjustments. Hopefully it'll all be in place by the end of December.
Okay.
And that's optimistic.
And then on page 3, on I was curious why the material parts and supply was double from 33,000 last year to 56,000 this year.
So we're gonna be doing a lot more work this year than we were before. I know with the full inspections, I'm gonna have to buy a lot of material for that. I don't know how many yet. Like I said, we're 20 years since we've had an inspection done. I could have 15 poles I have to replace, I could have 50. So it is likely that we'll be buying a lot of poles this year, a lot of cross arms, a lot of cutouts, a lot of insulators, a lot of wire, down guide material, maybe even some transformers if we go out there. If we do any work on a Delta transformer, we're gonna change it out to a Y. So that's why a lot of those numbers are different because of that, is that we plan on doing a lot more work this year once we get the results of those full inspections.
And that's the same for the transportation expense.
Yeah, so we're gonna be using the trucks a lot more now. So our fuel prices, of course, are gonna go up. Our maintenance is gonna go up.
And then, what about the miscellaneous and legal expenses? And you mean, is that one of those anomalies?
Yeah, we don't anticipate any legal issues.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, if we did, I don't know what it would be.
Okay, because we significantly reduced it from 10,000 to 2,000.
That was part of the grant, monies where we had to have a contract review. EDA grant.
Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Bernard.
Yeah, so, and this actually, I had the same question last year, and never really, don't ever got figured out, but I'm seeing the same issue come up. So if you take your 24, 25 actual for residential, commercial, and public sales,
You're on page 1.
Yep.
Please give your page number out so we can all get there.
you'll come up with, 3.276 million dollars in sales. You add all those up, okay? And then if you go to that same column, 24, 25, for purchase power, which is, 1, 2, 3. That three, yeah. And you add up, not the transmission, just, you see the 1.377, okay? So if you just do a basic ratio and you say, we bought $1.377 million worth of power and we revenued $3.276 million. So for every dollar we spend, we get $2.37 of revenue. That's the ratio, okay? And I just wanted to check, is that the ratio in our budget? So we have actuals here, I assume those are pretty accurate, and it's not. In our budget, we say we're gonna buy $2.299 million worth of power. And then the forecasted sales is gonna be 4.261. Well, if you do the math on that, that's not $2.37 of revenue per dollar power, it's $1.85. And so I asked the administrator, why are they so different?
Well, number one, I'm not sure I trust the number from the basis you're looking at. And number two, you estimate your revenue conservatively and your costs. Remember, it's not the right.
Those are BPA costs, it's not, we know what those are.
Yes, but
You have to budget
but
for
again, you don't know what's gonna happen in the future, particularly because with court proceedings, our costs are gonna go up 6% immediately, probably January 1st. So costs are gonna be increasing. We have this, you signed a contract last fall when we'll have new high water mark.
Yeah.
Tier 1, tier 2. But that doesn't start till 28, 29.
irrelevant.
It's just that I don't know enough about how to. We look at the actuals and try and say, yeah, I think we're gonna be a little better this next year. I don't look at the ratios, I look at what we've actually done and what we do. There may be a mix of the power, we've got a data center that is generating a lot of money and generating a lot of cost, generating a lot of money. But it's at probably a lower ratio than, because it's the tier 2 power that's they're buying, pushes over the tier 1 rate. There's lots of factors that go into it. I'm not sure you could establish a ratio.
And I'd like to add too, that we don't always know what the cost is, because we got hit with a surcharge last year, what was 17 grand or something, because the water levels weren't high enough, and so BPA came and went to all the utilities and made them pay up for the difference. So we don't always know the costs, I mean.
Okay, but 17 grand out of 1.37 million.
I get.
That's a rounding here.
I would just say it's a conservative estimate. It will show up in the actuals. The next year, you'll see, you'll get that revenue, you'll have suspended the costs, you'll have more dollars available.
Okay, I'm gonna let Courtney go first.
Bernard, can you explain, why you see a benefit, how you see a benefit in not pricing things conservatively, especially when we don't know our audits?
We have real numbers. If you have real numbers, then that should be your start point. So you don't have to, if assuming 24, 25 is accurate, I mean, Marianne, but you have reason to believe those numbers are not.
But I do, because not everything is put where it should be.
Can you explain to me the benefit though?
Yeah,
Regardless of the real numbers, what would be the benefit of applying?
If
what
those
you're
numbers
talking
are
about?
accurate, then we're dramatically underrepresenting the revenue for the utility.
And what would be the benefit?
Well, that's why we do budgets, to try to understand what is the fiscal picture of each of our enterprises, water, sewer, electric.
And I believe we'd have a better overview after we get our audits caught up, and I think it's smart.
No argument there.
Stay conservative right
No
now,
argument
but I
there.
know you like to think things out, and I figured you had a.
No argument there, yes.
What we did for the 2.95 million, you got 2.6 million for the first 10 months of this year. So you have 20% more, and that puts you like 3.1 million. I would not come going back down that revenue. I just, it's not going to.
Yeah.
Why we put it at 2.95. That would have picked that number up more like $2 instead of 1.76. But again, I don't like to put revenue in here until it's proven.
Yeah, well, the numbers aren't accurate, this is a moot point, right?
Exactly.
But I'm not assuming that, and that's,
So the 23,
this makes this whole budget exercise very challenging,
I
as we all
agree.
know.
It'll be
Right.
challenging for everybody around. I mean, it's gonna be challenging all the way around.
Yeah, I guess, but I feel like we have the BPA bills. We know exactly what we charge. Our utility billing system is pretty accurate. It's way different than these other things, in my opinion. We can pull up Cascade and say, how much did we get charged for all this electricity power we bought? And how much did we sell in power? Those are very good numbers. Those should not be wrong.
Are they wrong or conservative?
I'm asking if they're wrong or right.
They could be wrong and conservative. And the question is, because if somebody faced with a credit card, it may not have been applied to the right spot in our revenue. Yes, we know it's easy to figure out what BPA costs. No guarantee that the revenues are in the right spot based on whether they did pay by credit card or ACH or whatever else, because those things did not get transferred. Correct. Potentially.
Okay.
I would like to ask Mary Ann to kind of elaborate on this because I don't think. I want you guys to understand, and I don't even understand it 100%, but our books are a mess. 3 years, things weren't being put where they should have been. We have a coding account that we just put money in and we didn't put where it belonged for 3 years. As the auditors are getting on to us about it, and we didn't fix it. And the council allowed this to go on for 3 years. So can you elaborate why this revenues and stuff that you don't actually know what the good numbers are, even though we get a bill from the BPA, I understand that, and people pay their bill. But if we're throwing this bill money into a holding account and it's not, and sometimes we weren't even using Cascade. We were putting it in a spreadsheet or whatever. Can you elaborate on that? Because you're more educated on that than me.
There is a holding account, which is very unusual, and our auditors say that shouldn't even happen, and I know it shouldn't happen. But in that holding account is the customer deposits, is grant money, is everything you could ever imagine. So that's why I cannot guarantee these are correct, because I have to go through each one and I have to move them to the proper place. Now, I did notice probably in October or November, there is power in there. Why would you put power in a holding account when you know where it goes?
Out of revenue.
Yeah, it's the same with interest. Why would you put it somewhere where you know where it goes? So, or should know where it goes. So I cannot, until I go through every one of these accounts, guarantee these numbers. If you would see, you know, the journal entries that you have to do to move the money. I have done over 300 journal entries already, and I'm still not done with 23, 24. So it's a very, it's very hard to know where all this money goes. I'm sorry. I wish I did. I also know that in AP, and I'm dealing with this in payroll, is they have the wrong account numbers. So I have to go through and find out where the overtime was. You've seen that overtime was not being done in EMS. It's because it was being put in the regular pay. Even though we have an account number for the overtime. So those are things that are having a problem, is the accounting system has not been changed to accommodate some of these things.
Laura,
It's okay. I also want to say that when you find problems like this, where there's revenue in a holding account, you have to assume that you're gonna also find equal errors on the expense side. So was this expense to the right account? There could be things that were power expenses that are not expense to the power accounts. And that's why we have to go through them one by one before we get accurate numbers. In this kind of a mess, I think it's best to assume that both revenues and expenses are probably off.
Well, I feel like I've got kind of a question's gonna take us a different direction, so we can keep talking about this before I bring up my question.
Okay, I just think more for electric. So just to be clear on, not on the revenue versus the expenditures on power, but on the contract services niche. So we're 250 this year. Sorry, that was number 2. Yeah, number 2. 250 for this year and then 45 for the right of way clear. Okay, so when we were having this very healthy debate about staffing the electric department, one of the things I was arguing, like, look, we're spending a lot of money on contract service, we can get this thing properly staffed, we can reduce that. Now you shared, said, look, I get it, like, why are we having all this contract service and now we got 3 folks out doing all this good work? Just so I'm clear, it sounds like you got a busy year, but you anticipate the next year, this budget that will be a smaller
Yeah,
contract
so,
services
yeah,
line
this
item?
year is trying to get caught up on things that either A, should have been done from the beginning, or are just way past being due.
Right.
So, once we get caught up on that, then I do foresee in the future that we can lower these numbers.
This number will come
Now,
down.
what I would like you guys to strongly consider though, is if we move money away from this, I would really like to move it into a major projects budget. Because if you wanna see Wyeth undergrounded, if you wanna see Eagle Creek undergrounded, I'll do the best I can about applying for every grant I can get. But if we don't get a grant, we should have a backup plan.
Right.
And so a lot of the stuff with the power department is very expensive. If we wanna make a major improvement on our system, it's gonna cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's not something that we're probably gonna say, hey, let's pay for it this year. It's something that we need to start planning towards. So,
And that's a perfect segue to my third point. And if you look over this budget, you notice the water utility, they have debt, they're servicing debt because they did capital improvement. Sewer has debt, they're servicing capital improvement. There's no debt with the electric utilities. And I mentioned that to the administrators, like, the electric utility should be taking on some projects
yes.
that may create some debt. We've got the capacity to service that, so we can be a better utility. And it sounds like you're on the same sheet of music as I am, but this is something I want to advocate for as a council member, but also the budget committee member, that we start talking about what capital improvements are needed for the electric utility. And then we build the budget to do that, whether that's requires some debt financing or stuff we can pay, from ongoing revenue.
But doesn't the grant take on some debt? Is that,
The grant takes on about $500,000 of grant.
okay, well, so that we do have some.
A little, I mean, but we don't have a project yet, as we know.
We have $3 million.
Yes.
Well, we have $1 million put hardening the line from the BPA line down to the pyramid and out to the distribution. And hopefully, we just asked today for a change in the scope of work for our ED hardening project to take $1.2 million to build the building. Okay, don't know if that's gonna succeed. If they do change, allow us to change, I don't know if they're gonna give us enough time to do it.
Right.
But we're moving on that direction. If I can get this stuff done with grant monies instead of getting in debt, we're gonna do it. Now, we also notice that this budget, they are very well funded. Okay, we have the opportunity to move some things. They got $350,000 in reserve. We could move some more money into reserve to have $300,000 in their contingency. I'm just trying to get this budget in place so that there's a foundation for the next guy or gal to do this kind of stuff you're talking about.
Right.
So-
Okay, so.
Hey, Bernard, real quick, so the Eagle Creek project, I did get one bid on that, I'm waiting for another one, we're looking at around $600,000 to underground Eagle Creek. So, there's gonna be a lot of permitting costs, there's gonna be some issues as far as whether we can bore under Eagle Creek or not, so that number could fluctuate a bit, but from a ballpark figure without a print, I can give a contract company, just somebody coming out that does this for a living, giving me a rough idea of what it would cost. So that's kind of a ballpark of what we'd be looking at. That's one project I really want to get done because we could spend $100,000 replacing poles in there this year or next year. And I'd rather move that direction. So that would be one of those big projects that I'd like to fund. But I would need to start the groundwork on something like that sooner than later, because it's gonna take a long time to talk to the state, the Forest Service.
Right, all
See
those-
if we can get permits to even drill under Eagle Creek, whether we can go through the ODOT tunnel. If we can do that, that's a shorter route and a cheaper alternative, but will they allow us to do it? So there'll be a lot of footwork on my part to figure that out before we get there.
Okay, and the last thing is, we are doing a COSTA, right? We're doing an update COSTA for city.
They're collecting the data right now.
Right, and in my mind, for council, that's a good time to relook at the capital needs of the electric utility and get our arms around, like, how are we going to move this utility forward? And again, be good stewards of this critical asset.
And in light of the cost is a cost of service analysis. Because we've got a new contract 28, 29, our rates are going to be decreased, but our revenues will be even, our costs will decrease, but our revenue should stay the same. That gives us a little more cushion on how to fund these other capital projects, 28, 29.
Good news, okay. Hey, that's all I have, thank
We're talking all these big numbers,
you. Yeah.
so 17,560 is a relatively small one. But use of city property, I know that was something we talked about last year, I was just curious.
What page?
It's, EMS department combined creed, so,
EMS,
sorry, electric department.
number 3.
It's fine.
What's, yeah, I know I read this, I'm asking, how was it calculated and how was that adjusted and how was that, so I think the discussion was trying to get more of a real market value for what the department would have to pay for rent if they weren't renting from the city. And historically, it was really, really low. Even at $17,000, it was still not $1,500 a month. And the idea here, if I remember correctly in this discussion, was how do we get more money in the general fund so that we can afford things like public safety and our contract with the sheriff?
That was really low on my radar. I couldn't tell you. I really trying to get the whole budget done. We do charge $4,389.98 a month to the 4 departments, lights, sewer, and water. That gives us the $52,679.96 that goes to the general fund. We could raise the rates. We're charging rent, we're charging administrative overhead, we're charging a 6% internal service fee for use of right of way.
Which I will tell you, because I calculated those numbers, is $1.183,164 million.
For the 6%.
For the 6%, the admin overhead and the admin overhead material and services. Over $1 million.
We're digging them.
Yeah. That's a
And
lot
I
of
can
money.
build a new building for 1.2 million. Okay, so we're gonna lose that 17,000, but we're gonna be better off.
Why would we lose that? Why wouldn't that rate go up?
Because they'd
they have
be out in
their
the
own
old
building.
building and they wouldn't be in this building.
I see, but wouldn't it still be a city building?
Well, yeah, but if they paid,
They paid for it, yeah.
or the fence paid for it.
Yeah.
It's a great question. I don't know. Let's
Yeah.
build a building and then I'll figure out.
But the rent would go up for building of a
I think that's a great idea.
In case you don't know,
Yeah.
you are the piggy bank.
Right? But I mean, it really, the electric department does make the city a lot of money and we're fortunate to have it. And so how can we use that funds to actually?
I think we're digging them with them.
And $1.2 million, I mean, that's of all the utilities, it's a lot.
That's allows this city to do as well as it does. If we didn't have the fire department. Or what's your department? Electric department.
EMS,
Yeah.
We would be at world. Like most communities that don't have electric utility, they suffer. Because. You can't charge enough for your streets to be your streets repaired. We just completed state tax that would have maybe given us a little more money. You it's tough to milk a dry cow. We don't have a dry cow. We got dairy.
Well, thank you for increasing that. I think that's good to see it. I just was curious how this.
One thing I'd say about the, oh, sorry.
This was decreased 2 years ago by Mr. Bennett. We did not do this. This was in last year's budget also. So I don't know what his formula was. I have no idea. But he increased it, so this is what we've got.
But we, now that you've talked to us, we'll look at this next year when we do the budget.
With the electric system too, I just wanted to bring up that, so just because like the lights are on and the meters are turning doesn't necessarily mean our system's in really good shape. It's aging a lot. From what I can tell, there hasn't really been a lot of proactive pole replacements, reconductors, no overhead to underground conversions unless they were grant funded. And while I think that's great, and I hope that I can get grants and get a lot of projects done with that, that's where I was bringing up, like, we do have an obligation to do more maintenance on this system than we have, and from what I can tell, in a really long time, because most of this stuff I think is original from what I can tell. Most of our system is, with the exception of, the poles don't last as long as the wire does. But we do need to look at, if we're not gonna be able to start really aggressively undergrounding a bunch of the system, we need to look at doing pole replacements and reconductors, and those are really expensive. And there's not a lot of benefit. The poles are still there, the wire's still there, everything's still there. So even though it's very expensive to convert it to underground, it's not that bad in the more rural parts. Like, of course, doing somewhere like town is very, very expensive with a lot of customers. But sections like Wyatt, a lot of the sections out by Broadville, Mona Falls that don't have a lot of customers out there, I think those are some areas where we can eliminate a lot of risk, eliminate a lot of maintenance, and get the best bang for our buck. And so I'm trying to get money that we can work toward that in the future.
The total cost of underground, everything would be underground is about $5 million. That's kind of what we're looking at. Now I'll bring up one other thing. He wants another truck. 60 grand?
Yeah, to replace the pickup.
Okay, so when you make a motion to adopt the budget, you've got $330,000 in efficiency. You might want to consider taking that down by 60,000 and adding a capital expense. New truck.
Page 4.
Page, that's on the info.
Well, the contingency.
And adding a line item for a truck.
Go ahead, Pete.
Your comment about the truck, in your report, you talked about squirt boom.
Yes.
I Googled squirt boom, I could not figure out what a squirt boom was. Can you tell me what that is?
So it's just a smaller bucket truck. It operates on like an F-550 chassis instead of a commercial vehicle chassis. So they're smaller booms, but they're a lot more agile. They're a lot more cost effective as far as driving around every day.
You said it would take care of the majority.
They can get in a lot of areas we can't get the big bucket into. It would be what the crews would operate out most of the time. Yeah. They're just nice vehicles to have. Again, that's pretty much all the work I did here in town was out of a squirt boom before. Right now, why we're mostly focused on tree trimming, because I've still got 6 months of that left to do. That's full time. If I had a squirt boom here in town, there's lots of stuff around town I could be doing with a squirt boom if I had one, but I don't have a bucket truck, so I can't climb poles by myself. So there's not a lot that I can do. So if we have 2 trucks, not only when I have 2 guys out doing 2-man work, I'll have a truck here in town that I can do work with. I could also respond to trouble calls and stuff like that with it if we had it. Another big part I talked about was breakdowns. If one of our trucks were to break down in an emergency or something like that, we have a backup truck to use in that case. So there would be a lot of benefits, a place like this where we don't have a lot of resources, we don't have a lot of people close by that we can just borrow a truck from. That's our most essential piece of equipment in an emergency is our bucket trucks.
And then the squirt boom would be in addition to the pickup.
So I talked to the crew about it. What we do is we get rid of our crew truck that they're operating out of right now, and we would replace that with a squirt boom.
And then as far as the operations and maintenance.
230, 250.
250,000.
Yeah, they're not cheap still.
But we're paying quite a bit for ongoing maintenance for this aging equipment too.
Yeah.
Mechanical breakdowns.
Yeah, we are. Luckily, the equipment wasn't ran much and it was parked undercover for most of its life. So while we did have a lot of issues right away with the bucket truck, and I don't knock on wood, it's been a month or so now, no issues, and it's running all day, every day. So I'm hoping that we keep up with that luck. the digger derrick will start using it a lot more once we get this pull packet in, we start doing a bunch of pole replacements, that's gonna start getting a bunch of uses, and we'll see how well that works for us. We did have it out the other day on an anchor replacement, worked fine. So, unfortunately, yeah, with that aging equipment, it's impossible to know how long it's gonna last us or when it's gonna have a catastrophic breakdown. Our dump truck out there, you know, that thing's in tough shape, and I have to decide whether we're gonna fix it or get rid of it anyway. But yeah, so that would be our goal, is to replace the crew truck that the crew's using right now, with a squirt boom in the future, but we can get by right now, I think.
None of that stuff is in this budget.
No, I think that's stuff that we'll talk about next year. I think this year, there's a lot of things that I really need to focus on, like I said, that we're uncompliant with. The pole inspection is gonna be one of the biggest ones, the pole inspection and the tree trimming. The tree trimming, there's still places all over town that are burning right now in the lots. Or mostly out at Wyeth now. We're hitting downriver really hard. We got a couple months worth of work left out there. Pretty soon we won't be able to go on the right of ways anymore because it's gonna get too dry. But we do have a lot of work right off the roads that we can do, and then Wyeth's all off the road. We can do that all summer long during fire season. So I'm hoping that we can get most of our tree trimming caught up this year. Then moving forward, we'll probably have a month of tree trimming, maybe 2 months of tree trimming a year, once we get this hard part done. I wish, I had more pictures to show you guys. This is the way some of this, there's trees this big that are grown up through the 3-phase, and it's just like, we can't do that. So they've done a lot of good work out there, so.
Okay, so Gordon, can we make that change now, so we don't have to remember it later, or?
So let me ask the question. You want $60,000 pickup, or do you want the $250,000?
Just the $60,000 truck this year, and we'll worry about the expensive trucks moving forward.
Okay, so if someone would entertain a motion to move $60,000 from contingency into capital reserve fund, and the capital reserve fund would increase by $60,000, that we would pay for it out of the capital reserve fund.
Motion to move.
No, Pete already did it, we need a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Yeah, so, this kind of just dropped on us.
Yeah.
But just so I'm clear, you have an existing truck tell me what is its story on why does it need to get replaced? Tell me,
Well, so
make your case for this
yeah,
item.
so it's 21 years old.
Okay.
It makes a lot of funny noises when you drive around. We've already had to redo the front end in it. The ABS sensors are already going off again, so I gotta get it back in minutes to figure out why those are going off. The wiring for it is so messed up that we had to disconnect all the emergency lighting on it because we couldn't figure out why the battery was draining all the time. So it's got a battery disconnect switch on it that we have to turn off every time or else it'll be dead in the morning. The wiring for the tail lights, we fixed them, and then a few days later, I was driving to Falls, Mary Ann was behind me, it's like, your tail lights aren't working. Well, the wiring harness on those are so rusted out that they're just falling apart, so I got them all taped back together for now, but I don't know how long that's gonna last, so. I either need to do a lot of work on it to make it safe to use, or we need to replace it.
Okay.
Is this the bucket truck?
No, this is just the pickup truck. I'm driving the oldest, I left the crew truck with the crew because they need that truck for what they're doing out in the field, and so I just took the old crew truck. But I don't need something like that for what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. I can get by with just a pickup and a toolbox on it.
So capital reserve is on what page?
Capital reserves, during the last fund.
Number 4.
Is the contingency goes down to 271,000.
271.
271,
Okay,
212. But the next 2 lines up, the 2 capital reserve fund,
okay.
$60,000. Then you go to capital reserve, first page, number 1. Transfer from electrical was 60,000.
Transfer from electrical?
Transfer from electrical is the 60,000.
Where, okay, on page 1?
Yeah, capital reserve 1.
Oh, a capital reserve one. Okay, so that's way in the back, that's way in the back. Hold on.
Last fund. It's
It's like
60,000.
almost the second to the last. Okay, on page 1.
Yes, transfer from electrical about 2/3 of the way down. Above the interest income,
Okay, so make that 60.
60,000. And then on capital reserve 5. System vehicle equipment upgrade replacement, 60,000. Now that's the shortcut. In other funds, and actually moving things out of reserve into our revenue and spending capital projects or capital equipment in the revenues. In the other funds, but this one's the easiest way to do that.
What was the change on page 5 with capital reserve?
You go to system, vehicle, equipment upgrade, replacement above the reserve,
Yeah.
add 60. That takes that total cost up to 410,000.
Any more discussion on that? Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so there's been made. And somebody had their hand up.
Mayor.
I just had one thing. We have that nice wire, Alan, if you could show them what happens when trees hit our wires and why it's so important to take care of this stuff.
So, yeah, this was a section where we actually put this out this is back when I was working for Gates. And we can, I don't know if you guys wanna pass that around, but you can kind of see that the black wires are the two that carry the hot. And the spare silver wire in the middle is the neutral. So once those things touch together, they'll flash, burn stuff in half, start fires.
Yeah.
So that was up in the air being used that we found because the limb was laying on it and just blowing back and forth in the wind and rubbing all the insulation off of it. So that is one thing that happens, and it doesn't necessarily take that long to happen when you have a decent sized branch that grows out and ends up laying down on the secondary. So that's why that's one of the reasons why it's really important that we do the tree trimming and make sure that we prevent any issues like this that we can.
Also, putting the lines underground.
Yes, I mean, that's the goal. Yeah, especially the critical areas, you know, we've got the ones that are hard to access. Like you said, Eagle Creek is a nightmare to access now. And I can't trim the danger trees either. So that's one of those that I really want to focus on is getting rid of Eagle Creek out there and trying to get it underground.
With lines being underground, would that at least reduce power outages during the winter?
Oh, absolutely, like almost eliminate them. I mean, if a tree hits dead on and lands right on a transformer, there's not much we can do about that. Or if there's a landslide that takes out some underground, which can happen. But yeah, for the most part, you eliminate your winter outages with underground.
Great.
So last year,
Derek,
Derek said, sorry, it's a long day. Was talking about, there were some, lines in town that he wanted to underground. Is that still on the table or is that no?
I believe, I'm not sure which one's in town I believe Eagle Creek is, from talking to Derek, that was what our
That
biggest
was number
concern
one,
is Eagle
yeah.
Creek. I think that's the
But I
one that
think
he
you
was
said there
talking
was some
about.
that he wanted.
There's not really any lines in town, I think, that are a real high priority to underground. I think, like we talked about before, the cost is the biggest part of that. Like, it's really expensive to put lines underground in busy areas because every house needs to be redone. You've got all the other utilities in the way that you have to navigate through. So digging up the ground is hard, boring's hard. It's just a lot more cost in order to do these jobs in town, to where I could do Y for the same way we could do 3 miles for the same price. I could probably do 1,000 feet in town. So, I mean, it's a massive difference in price. That's why I've mostly focused on our rural areas that don't have a lot of customers, but put us at a lot of risk for both outages and wildfires. And also that we spend a lot of money trimming and maintaining, that we could get rid of those costs.
So well, that's the liability issue.
Yeah.
We underground the lines so that we don't start fires.
Yeah.
So we're talking underground out in South Bank again? I mean, I thought we already.
That South Bank is a part of it, yeah.
We have lots to do with South Bank, we have lots to do out to.
But I thought we already underground.
It's 8 miles out of 18.
Okay.
There's 10 more lines.
All right, thank you for explaining that. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, so I have, and I am not gonna take the time because we're already. Want to know how I came up with these numbers, I'll explain it to you afterwards. And take in light that we don't really actually know what the numbers are, what they've given us is best guesstimates, but when you do in the back in the section for just the South Bank, you take the South Bank, you take the revenue, and you take the expenses. South Bank is in the hole for $388,000, and when you take city lights and you take the revenue and take away the expenses, it has a surplus of $388,000, which means that it's anticipated with our numbers that we will be augmenting South Bank almost $400,000. The city will be augmenting South Bank getting electricity at almost $400,000. So I just want us to know that when we have the budget before us on the council, but if you wanna know how I did that, we can come up with that. I can show you later, but. So just that it's on everybody's radar. I appreciate that. And it's not, I mean, it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So, no more questions? Thank you. Is there anything else that you wanna tell us?
Number
I-
one wish was the truck.
Well, no, but, yeah, that I think we need to do, and, I'm talking about the budget for the trucks, but the big projects, that would be my wish for Cascade Locks long term. It is, large projects. A budget for that where we start putting money away, whether, I don't like borrowing money, maybe that's just my mentality, but I understand it, the city of functions different than my personal life, but I'd rather not borrow the money, I'd rather budget the money and start putting it away, knowing that we do have to do massive projects. We can't just change poles out because they're rotten. We can't just put lines back up because they fall down. Like, we need to plan ahead. We need to take sections of the line and either underground it or reconductor and do all the pole replacements and maintain our system properly. So that's something I would like to see.
And I agree with you, and that is why it's so important to get these audits up to date so we can apply for grants. There's a lot of grant money out there, but your audits need to be current, because if you can't manage your money.
They don't want to give you more.
Yes.
Yes.
So that is the council's goals too, is to take care of our electric department better.
All right.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
I'll help you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well then. Yay, Sean.
I was gonna let you go.
Elements.
Everybody, thank you for being here, taking time out of your.
Sewer.
You too.
So we start with the general fund, the property account.
Yes, so I'll be back to the beginning. Just actually. Not that far. We really do need page numbers, but okay, so property, we need property, property one, look for property one in the right hand corner.
She usually has it all tabbed out and numbered, but again, just give her a break that it's been a crazy thing you've been coming up with.
And you guys can go through and tab it, it's not that difficult, so, if we can help staff, that would be really good. Next week is, we're gonna be really flying through a lot of stuff, so it'd be really good if you guys can get it for yourself. So, go ahead, Sheldon, start with property.
Okay, not a lot of big changes in property, except for
Capital outlay.
capital outlay, would be building improvement, to a new roof. 85,000, that's on, page 2 of property.
Yeah.
And then a new lawnmower.
Do what?
Lawnmower.
So I understand the lawnmower, it looks like a weird account, $16,942. That's how much money the property department had in the reserve account for capital purpose. Transfer the whole amount to the general fund so we can get this new lawnmower, which costs somewhere in the neighborhood of $16,200.
Is it one of them ones where you give them 0 turn radius and all that?
It's basically a lawn tractor, it's diesel,
Oh, okay.
it's more commercial.
Okay.
What you would buy for your home,
No.
yeah, it's not gonna last, so.
Yeah.
That's why that's that high number on there,
Yeah, you guys need something.
yeah.
The only question I have in, property was, there's no spring cleanup costs. Is there,
There's no cost. I haven't been for years.
it hasn't, okay, it's paid for.
It's late and it's absorbed in the wages.
Okay, so we're doing away with that, okay, and then also, contract service abatement dropped from 30 thousand to 5,000, that's all.
$30,000 is what you need if you try to abate an RV, because no one will tow it. Facilities to tow it, store it, and 5,000 for a little project. It's why spend $30,000 when you can't do anything with 100 when you take them.
Okay. So we have a part that we can't do anything with, is that okay?
Actually, I got on the move.
Okay.
I got on the move.
Why would you apologize for that?
Because you want me to do code enforcement.
Oh,
okay.
look, again, yeah, that's not a good use of your time. I will go to my grave saying that, you know?
Okay, does anybody have any more questions on property? It's pretty simple, Bernard.
Yeah, so. I know we're taking all these numbers with a grain of salt, but it shows year-to-date actuals for the utility maintenance worker one at 36,000. Is that not a good number?
The administration combines summer help and the maintenance worker one into one line item instead of dividing them out.
Okay, so that's why the proposed budget is 30,000 for the main, and then I use the analogy of a homeowners association. So if you own a condominium, you pay homeowners association dues. Right now, our utilities pay that rent, $53,000 a year, or how much ever it is a year. But every now and then you have a big project, like a roof or an elevator. You don't, that that is a special assessment that's then incurred by the entire organization. Right now, the utilities, from what I understand, are not paying any of that 85,000, and I would like to change that.
But they are paying in admin overhead, materials and services, and use of city property, and internal payments.
But they're not
Touching
paying a
$1.2
capital fee,
million.
they're not paying a capital fee.
So let me change the analogy a little bit. I'm an apartment owner. And we charge everybody rent. I need to put a new roof on the apartment.
I'm not gonna be able to.
But that's different.
No, it's not.
No, it is.
Yeah,
You're a residential apartment renter. If you're a commercial tenant, you pay triple net expenses. I pay for landscaping,
Okay.
I pay for maintenance and upkeep as a commercial tenant.
We pay for landscaping, we pay for maintenance. This is however you wanna do it. In this particular case, if we don't do it, this building is going to deteriorate to a point where we're gonna spend millions more.
That's not the issue.
It is the issue,
No, why is that no? It's how we pay for it, that's the issue.
but that's fine. But I just, as long as the money is in the budget to do the roof, we gotta do the roof. That, to me, that's the bottom.
That's not, I'm not disputing.
I
I think the discussion though is why is the general fund putting a bill for it as opposed to spreading that cost out amongst the departments?
Thank you, Sheldon.
Well, if you keep draining, taking and taking and taking, we have no funds to fix priority stuff. And this is a priority, but when you come to public safety, the water, the sewer, all this stuff, you just keep taking. It's just like with the line crew, they can't maintain their lines and stuff if we're paying. Well, we're already paying for a roof and for rent, that's where that goes.
So where does that money come from? And
It comes out of our revenue.
that's my point, is that you increase the revenue to cover the costs of operating your enterprise
So
fund.
you're asking us to raise the water rates or sewer rates in order to pay for a roof on City Hall.
You don't need to do that.
You can ask him.
But I'm saying is if we don't have the money to cover it, then that would be the appropriate action, in my opinion.
Okay, but we have two healthy accounts, right? We have electric, healthy, and water,
Very healthy.
very healthy. So we have two out of however many, three, well, we got streets, we got
Rates is also healthy.
sewer. Yeah, it doesn't sound like Sheldon agrees with that, but I don't, you have more to add to that? I mean, just my point is that we not all.
I just,
towns
my
think about
opinion on
our
this subject is that we should treat the, enterprise funds like businesses and they should be paying their fair share, just like.
I'm gonna say $1.2 million is a fair share. I'm just sorry, because I've never seen these numbers put together like this. I don't know why I've never done it before, but when I put all those numbers together this year, it's a lot.
But how much money did we generate in the electric department alone? I mean,
We got budgeted 4 million, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, sorry.
Good.
Stick it up into materials and services, and then it becomes part of administrative overhead and they pay for proportionally.
I love that. That's my request. Yes, please.
Just, well, and change the whole budget
Yes.
for $85,000
Yeah.
and a $20 million budget.
Well, $85,000 is half of our sheriff's contract.
It's a lot of general fund dollars. It's not a lot of sewer and water and electric.
And it's a long-term asset.
It's long-term ignored asset.
I was just gonna say, it's kind of like, just like with our electric department, we have not been maintaining it. Do you know, last year there was a bid to replace the roof for $40-something thousand and we didn't do it. And now it's $80-something thousand. So if we keep kicking the bucket down the road, it's gonna go, right, I know it's not the issue, but I also know that when I ran it as a commercial property right here in Cascade Locks, that when things went wrong, like the breakers would break electrical or the water line busted or whatever, the landlord came and fixed that. I didn't fix it. If I wanted any upgrades that bettered the building, that made my business operate better, I put in that bill. But to just have a building and all of that, as a renter, you should be able to have a building that has a good roof and isn't gonna fall down on you. Otherwise, you can't raise the rents.
But I'm just saying,
I
at
mean,
the
I
end of the year, I
understand.
get a triple net reconciliation report that breaks out all of the expenses required to maintain that commercial property. And then my percentage of that space is a percentage of those triple net expenses. I pay a little bit of that every single month on top of my rent.
Do you
On
pay,
top of my rent.
use of property, use of,
It's my rent.
okay,
And by my rent, if you were to look at the square footage and divide it by the rent, price per square foot, I still think we're giving a pretty good deal. That isn't keeping up with market rates.
go ahead, Drew.
So I still like my HOA analogy. And here, let me add something to it. Okay? If you're an HOA, you have your HOA dues, and then you also have a capital like allocation. And that money goes in for anticipated capital needs of the entire building. My question to this committee and our finance directors, when have we set aside money for capital improvements for this building for its tenants? We have not. We've never done that. And now we're making the general fund eat it. That is not fair. We should have been setting aside capital, but since we have, now we have to eat it? No. They should share in this capital project, this capital need that they are benefiting from.
Okay, I'm gonna argue, we have 2 nights to get this budget passed. To ask Mary Ann to go through, jumping through all of these hoops, trying to figure this out now is an impossibility. You've heard what she has to go through to get everything fixed, to even give us numbers. I understand what you're saying, but right now, this is just not, I feel, an issue that we can tackle. It's a discussion we can have at council if we wanna change it later on to maybe do a supplemental budget, but right now, I just don't think, we're already through one of our 2 nights, and we've only gone through 3 departments, and I just don't know how we can make that happen this year. I understand what you're saying, but time is of the essence, unless we're gonna have a whole bunch of meetings next week to deal with this. I personally don't have the time. I don't know if anybody else does. I just want you to consider that argument.
That was the point that I was hoping to make also, is that moving forward, there's lots of fixing that our budget needs, and that's what we're working on. That'll come along with our assessments. And right now, we can only deal with what we have in front of us, especially with, I mean, in my head, I've been calling it fuzzy money.
Yes.
You know, we've got a good idea. I feel confident that, Mary Ann and our city administrator wouldn't recommend that we spend it unless they felt confident that we had it, especially knowing that Mr. Zimmerman is fiscally conservative. I feel like we can move forward with this and make a plan for next year where we can get everything in the right accounts, the right way, and absolutely make sure that people are paying their fair share. Break down what Tiffany has added up there that shows, you know, what departments are currently paying and fees, et cetera. And see how we can either allocate that towards future investments in the building or anything like that, but I would like to see this meeting move forward.
I think that's a good point to bring up, and you know, to your point, $85,000 of a $20 million budget, and let's get our audits cut, you know, where do we want to cut our
Yeah.
time, right? So
It's not, please don't take it wrong, it's not,
prioritization.
it's not that I don't share your concern, we are at a time crunch. I mean, and it's just that we're just not gonna solve that issue tonight or this year. We can have the discussion at council and figure out where we wanna, how we wanna do that, but tonight it's just not the.
Okay, can I ask one question, Mary Ann?
Please.
So Mary Ann, if we adopt this budget, next year, is there some way we could make general fund whole by taking these costs and somehow getting it reimbursed? There's some way to do that via adoption of a budget adoption. See what I'm asking?
Can we fix it later?
Can we fix it next year?
Try, please.
Sure.
That was a.
What's the project? How do I allocate something that is unknown? Once I know, and we're trying to get that figured out, is how are we gonna save this building, bring it up to code? When I have that number, then I know how to either portion of it, or the debt of it, or if I get my audits up and I can go out and apply for grants to repair this building. I know I have a definite need right now to repair the roof, otherwise the deterioration of this building is. You have to stop the deterioration somewhere. I got 85,000, I can do that. Next year, I don't know what it's gonna be. $100,000 for a new sound system and carpeting in the council chambers. I don't know. When you know that's those kinds of projects, when you look at those kinds of projects, then you can see how to handle them out or push them out. And really the easiest way, the best way to do it is to stick it into your materials and services budget and to do the administrative overhead. Just gives everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't have a project to do that. But
So you can't reimburse it, that's what I'm asking.
A good thing to look at moving forward.
It sucks, but we gotta go forward.
The other thing I'd just like to point out is that from the perspective of a community member, this building belongs to this community, it belongs to the public, they paid for it. And it's the council's responsibility to keep it in good repair. And from the residents' perspective, they don't care where that money comes from. They just want to make sure that the building is taken care of. I agree with Bernard. I think there are better ways to do it just in terms of the overall city budget and where the funds come from. But I don't want this group to forget what it looks like on the outside. To the people that pay their taxes and drive by this building every day and hope there's so good tomorrow.
my grandmother graduated from this high school.
My mother graduated.
Okay, so can we begrudgingly move on from
Yes.
property? I mean, I hear what you're saying, Bernard, but we just
Move on.
don't have time. Okay, so now on to streets. Which should be like about 15 page news.
Just before emergency service.
Yeah, second, right after.
Take it away, Mr. Philbin.
Streets is not a very, it doesn't bring much revenue in. It's a little bit of a different tactic. Gas tax, and other than that, that's about, we are getting ready to pave some streets. But it's really nothing to do with, the streets. 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 It's really nothing to do with, the streets coming out of the budget, we were able to do that with a grant. So that'll be happening this summer.
Those streets are, Wheeler, Venture, West End.
Any questions?
I'm,
Okay.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I noticed that there's not overtime budgeted in the street fund. It looks like there was for this year, and of course we didn't have any snow. But I'm curious, does water and sewer usually subsidize overtime for street plowing, or should there be some overtime in streets for wages for plowing?
So there is a line item for snow plowing.
Yeah.
Oh,
right above
and
the-
then
But that's,
comes out of there.
is that contract? Oh no, that's personal services. So that's wages?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because of insurance purposes is why it's in its own line item.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
Bernard?
Yeah, so I couldn't help but notice streets has a contingency of $153,000. When its total budget is $277.
Page what? Page 4?
Number 3. And when I look at that, it speaks to administrative capacity. There's money, but we don't have the wherewithal to get it spent. We're limited in our ability to do projects and spend this money. And I can't help but wonder, what do we need to do to spend the money? Do we need more staff? Do we need more contracts? I mean, this is the kind of that conversation I want to have the administrator and Sheldon, but that's a massive contingency that speaks of a budget that's sitting a lot of money, but it's not spending it because it doesn't. There's an infrastructure capacity on actually getting the money out of the door, and I hesitate to say that our streets are in great condition. They're not in great condition. They have a lot of challenges. Yet we're going to sit on a 50% contingency. To me, that speaks to capacity or something. And I just asked this committee, should we have more money for contract? How do we remedy that so we can take the money that we're allocated and actually spend it?
So worst case, realistically, if something were to come up that contingency money would need to be spent, if there was some sort of emergency, what would that price range be? I know it's super big.
What would it be on? What would? Yeah. Okay.
What
What would you spend it on?
Sinkhole or something like that, because you're talking about the 153,000?
Yeah.
That's, it's gonna pave one street. I mean, it's not that much when it comes to pave. It's really not.
Would that cover wayfinding and other things related to streets, or is it just for overlay?
Excuse me, wayfinding?
Would it cover wayfinding signs, or is it just for overlay?
Basically for overlay, I mean, a new street, grind, get to a good surface, depending on the condition of the street. And then you got curves, if you choose to do curves, which, that's just a whole nother expense, but, let's just say this might do a quarter for some.
Okay. Sherelle?
Would it possibly make sense to, instead of keeping that in contingency, and if it's, proposed to pave a street in the future, would it make sense to transfer that to capital reserve? Rather than have that a 50% fund contingency, does it make more sense to transfer it to capital reserve for future projects?
That's your guys' question.
Yeah.
No, that's not a question.
Yeah, size or like.
I mean, what the normal contingency is, what, 10%? I mean, I don't know. Do we have rules in our, do we have budget rules that say, ideally we want it 10%, ideally we want it 15%?
If the target's 10%, but there is $128,000 in reserve. We could take 100,000 out of the contingency and transfer it to reserve.
Is there a benefit to have it in the capital outlay? Is there higher interest in the LGIP? If the
No.
street fund, yeah, no, okay.
You still get the same.
You still get the same interest rate.
Yeah, because it's in the fund, it's not allocated.
Doesn't matter if it's capital or in the operating budget.
Money is money.
It just feels like for consistency's sake, if our target is 10%, I mean, if we have extra, then I don't know, that just makes sense that maybe it would go to capital outlay or capital reserve for a future project, especially something in streets, where, we're probably going to be having capital projects in the future.
I think that's a great idea. That was put the contingency down to $27,751. And then the transfer to capital reserve, whatever the difference is.
Okay,
Is there a reasoning behind why it's $153,000 right now? Is there a
Yeah, that's
reason
the
why?
balance.
That's the
What's
balance.
the
Okay.
difference between?
Just checking.
so so you wanna move 100 and how much?
I don't have numbers. It's like $126,000
To capital outlay,
to transfer to capital reserve.
capital reserve, and that,
Another way of thinking is everything but 10%.
Everything, 10%.
As long as you feel comfortable that, because if we do run into an issue where we need funds, right, like something happens, there's a sinkhole, we can move a certain amount of money from contingency or supplemental budget. But even if something big happens where we need that money, we can still do a supplemental budget to make that happen in the future. Yeah, okay.
okay, so do we need a motion? to Do that? Gordon,
Just consensus, right? I mean,
Consensus motion, just direction. How many of you, are there any of you that are approving or done it?
anybody want, yeah,
Who does it?
anybody against this idea, let's just put it that way, of moving Cemetery and
Great, okay, we'll figure that out.
oh no,
I know.
time is ticking.
I wanted to know, because we're going to be doing the 3 roads, Sunset, Wheeler, and Venture Street. While we have them out, did we put in this budget redoing the parking lot out here while the asphalt trucks are here? We could probably get a better deal.
We did not.
Can we do that since we seem to have some money? It's a hazard.
You guys already got to spend, see, we already got it. See how quick that was?
I mean, that's what.
This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Because that parking lot, even for someone that's not handicapped, is not good, because you got the sidewalks and it's not good. Maybe we could do that. I mean, because it'd be a lot cheaper while the asphalt trucks are here pouring asphalt for these 3 streets.
Yeah, I was just thinking of grant and then, but we could totally do that.
At least get
Separate.
separated.
So how much do you estimate that would cost?
Yeah, but that's, we're not gonna be able to guess that.
Right,
Just
Yeah, I'll have
let's-
to do some,
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do
some figuring, do some phone calls.
Okay, so,
let's stick to the,
street paving, we got 20,000. It could go up with whatever we come up with a project. We still looking for 10% contingency and come back with the difference. We'll work on it.
okay, thank you.
That's good.
Thank you. Laura, you
I just had a quick question, so, because you cover so many different departments. So when, for example, you have to do a sewer repair,
Mhm.
does the repaving of the street come out of the streets or does it come out of sewer?
Generally, it comes out of sewer.
Just wanted to make sure.
That's a good question.
Yeah, water line, street, yeah, it's come out of that department, whatever it costs.
Okay, so are there any more discussion on street? Okay, so, we're almost at 9. I'd like to get through Sheldon before we call it a night, so I'd like to get,
Well, cemetery fund, be pretty simple.
water's gonna be a bigger discussion, I think, and sewer.
And sewer.
So I'd like to ask that we continue for another half an hour so that we can get through Sheldon, so that we don't have to ask him to come back to the next one. Do I have a consensus on that? Everybody okay with that? Okay. Okay, so, what's next?
Cemetery.
Cemetery. Cemetery is another 15, 20 feet back, half, so the agenda.
Order.
Anything, go ahead, Sheldon, just take it away, shouldn't be too much.
We got $10,000 beginning fund balance. We got interest income of $150. We got we have openings and closings for the cemetery. The big difference is where it's eliminating, you're trying to do last year, eliminating the trust fund and moving the trust fund dollars to the cemetery fund balance.
And we're still good with that?
We're still, well, trust funds are required by private cemeteries. We are a municipal cemetery and we don't have to have a trust fund because we have the general fund to support the cemetery. So we are legitimate in moving the trust fund dollars to the cemetery, but and there's really not much you can do with cemetery.
Anybody have any questions on that? The dead issue? Sorry. Okay, water. Water's a couple more pages down.
You shouldn't do it. That's such a thing.
Matters, yes.
Yeah, as far as the water, as far as the budget goes with water, it's looking pretty good. Nothing major and nothing really new request or to add.
Brenda.
Question. It came up at council, we have that leak
Yeah.
under the highway.
Yeah.
We've kind of made it where it's not leaking as bad, right? Isolated it, I guess.
Yes,
is the
not
term
leaking
for
at
that.
all, yeah.
And, we got the cameras, the leak detection cameras. Have you got them yet?
No, ma'am.
And. Go ahead, we've
Well,
ordered.
this is,
They're in the mail.
what I ordered is the sewer stuff. It has nothing to do with.
Oh, sewer, okay.
So,
So the leak detection is not for water, it's for sewer?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it just goes down the line and you can see your blockage or broke line or whatever else.
Okay. So is it in the budget to take care of that leak?
We did not get it in the budget this year.
Okay, I understand, thank you.
So the engineers have not yet given us a final number of what it would cost.
Okay,
So I can't budget it, I don't know.
I understand.
So last year, the question I asked you was how much water leakage do we have? And that was, your answer was 50%.
Yes, and we, by when we discovered the leak and isolated the leak, we're still leaking way too much, right?
And how much?
I'm gonna say 35,
Percent?
38, somewhere along there.
Okay.
And we have been finding more and more leaks, you know, when they pop up. I won't get into all that, but yeah, we're working on it and trying to isolate that, because we're just basically pumping water into the ground.
Okay. And so you're saying that the one under the highway is about 15%. What's 15% of the problem, or is that again?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay. Sherelle?
Non-revenue water is, more than just big system leaks. It's also meters. Do you have anything in your budget or a plan to start replacing meters? I know they're only good for 10, 15 years and they start losing their functionality and they under register or stop registering altogether. So I'm just wondering if you have a plan for starting to replace meters, if it's 20 a year or 50 a year, or just kind of gradually start replacing those and reduce that non-revenue water.
Yes, ma'am, and we've been doing that. I just ordered 30, 40 meters and we have been finding meters that are under registering or not registering at all. And we are replacing them, as soon as we find those, with billing and what.
It's probably more of a policy discussion, but it would be nice to see a plan, looking in the future over the next 5 years or however X many years, depending on how aged the meters are, that there would be a replacement plan for those, just like we do for our vehicles or should for our vehicles. And, those meters are there are cash registers out there in the field. So they're the ones that are telling us how much money we're going to get in the revenue. So super important.
And that would come out of the water, the meter maintenance fees, is that?
There is that, and I
Water
think,
meter's got a line item.
but there is just a water meter.
Yeah,
Okay.
103.
Okay.
Okay, so that's my question. So where in the budget is where the money to replace meters?
It is,
You've got meter maintenance fees. That can
No, no, and
It looks like water number 3 under capital outlay, there's $15,000 budgeted for water meters.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Good job.
yeah, it just says water
How
meter.
many meters, how much does a meter cost? About $600, $800? Yeah, any
They
idea?
are just under $400
Oh, okay.
per meter and a radio,
Oh, that's quite a
which
bit then.
goes to
Yeah.
pick it up.
Right, right.
Any more questions on?
I had a quick one. So I see that there's $197,000 contingency fee
Page.
on a water grid. Is that gonna be enough? I know that you don't have your engineer's reports, you don't have anything about this leak. Would that be enough to cover, do you think?
No, the preliminary estimate was 300,000
Okay,
on that one. Week after
but this would pay, say, to get an engineering report and maybe develop a plan.
We're doing that under our other.
Okay. The big.
Well, the problem is under the freeway and you got a bore with the permitting and all that and the bore and the full boom pipe in.
Yeah.
The 300,000 is probably a little short.
Yeah.
So how
Yes,
far in the future do you anticipate that being repaired?
Well, right now I'm waiting on the engineer to get back to us for this study that they're doing to, do we really, you always want a loop. And that's basically what that is a loop system. It comes up Dry Creek, goes across the freeway and then down will be regular. They're doing a study to see how that affects our pressure. Is it a big pressure loss or is it causing a spike or whatever? So as soon as we get that study back, then we'll be able to know, do we replace it? Is it really worth it? Or what is it gonna, what's the benefit?
Is there an alternative if you did this to the same thing?
Correct. Because that's a big chunk of money for that board.
But it's not enough.
But the other point is, yes, we're leaking a lot of water. Yes, we are paying a little more for pumping, but we're not losing any revenue.
Correct.
It's just water that's going in the aquifer.
But
Again,
my argument again is we are using resources to make it happen. Right?
It's treated water.
Treated water, it's treated water, so. Yeah.
We're spending, we're paying electricity bill,
I mean, I think for those of us that have, it's like, I equate it to like leaving a faucet dripping in a hole, it's like, that's how I feel, it's like, I don't want drippy faucets, it's been pounding in our head that,
but that helps us.
Yes.
but that's the thing that I think I'm having my head, having a hard time wrapping my head around is, just having that.
And you're absolutely right. You're all correct, but it's the cost. I don't know which is the trade-off.
Yeah.
Mhm. Agreed.
What you're saying is it might cost more to stop the leak than we're losing to produce the water that we're throwing away.
and it's a lot of pipe in the ground. And
It's a lot of pipe in the
It's hard to pinpoint every week.
Darrell,
Well, there are more risks too, there's cross-contamination risks and things like that when you have broken pipes in the ground and you have leaks in the ground. It's not just the cost of it, it's system health, right? I'm curious if you feel like, I just did the quick little math right here, $15,000 for $400 a meter, that's about 37 meters. Do you feel like your team has the capacity to maybe replace more meters in the next year? I mean, do you feel like it's a possibility to bump that up and kind of, get our revenue up? By changing out those meters, they're going to be more accurate. And you're going to have higher revenue.
You have a very good point, and yes, we would be capable of doing that.
So if you're not opposed, I know it's your budget, but if you're not opposed, I would like to see more money budgeted for meter replacement, especially if your team has the capacity to do that.
You want to double it? The 30?
I'll leave that up to the administration, but I just would like to see more. Yeah. How many meters do we have in the ground? 600, 800?
I'm sorry, say that again.
how many do we have in the ground?
We're at about 600. Wait,
What's the lifespan, is it 8 years?
40?
I'm sorry, what's that?
I might be sorry, you got one.
Yeah, so 600, you said 640?
620.
600, okay, thank you.
And my question was, what's the lifespan on a meter? Is it 8 years?
15.
20.
Well, oh.
Yeah, the newer one, the iPhones are usually 20.
620,
Divided
what's that?
by 20.
Yeah, so that'd be 31 a year, which is probably why you got 15,000 budgeted there, but we've got some water meters that have already failed.
So he's at, interim city administrator, I think should leave 30,000, do 30,000 for that.
Could you double that? You guys get that many in the ground?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
If we
so,
have the funds and.
so do we have a consensus to change that to 30?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question, Sharon.
Yep.
Anything else? Okay, not a lot.
Yeah,
Or you
this
got
has
a lot
been
to
the
say.
annual request from me. So we have a sewer discount for our senior citizens. We don't have anything for one. And I've always been troubled by that. And there's light heat for electric. Water is the one utility where if you're low income or senior or struggling, we got nothing for you. And I did the math. If we did a proportionate amount for sewer to water, it would be a $2,400 budget item, which the folks could have, whoever applies for the sewer subsidy could apply for the water, and we can make those guys whole and be good to our customers who are struggling these tough times. So it's not a big expense. I would like to at least just start it this year if possible. That's my request. $2,400. Again, that contingency, it's another healthy contingency. It's 30%, right? 197, you're about 30%. So you could reduce your contingency by $2,400, and still have a very healthy for that utility. That's my request.
Can I ask a question? So Bernard, do you see this as being like folded into the energy one or the
Sewer.
sewer? So the same city personnel who's handling that would also handle this?
That's right.
Would we give them a little more money because now they're handling too?
I don't know what we do now, but yeah.
Because it just makes extra work for someone, just a little bit.
Okay,
Um,
so. Well, what does Sheldon feel about that? What, is that, okay? What do you think?
I don't know, I've never really thought about that. Of course, I don't want to work over it. I want to give any revenue away, but. And I think we've never really done it because the water's always was cheap.
Exactly, but it's getting more expensive. That's my point.
and then we have done it before, but it's when we got grant monies to do it, in part of why the capacity. It's just we haven't subsidized it. If we were to do it, we could take 2,400 out of contingency, we would have to transfer it to the general fund because it would go into the government community relations fund
Doesn't have
and
to.
increase that by $2,400. If that's what you want to do.
That's what I want to do.
Bernard, when you said $2,400 would be the proportionate amount, I can't remember what word you used. How did you arrive at that? Is it a percentage of what?
Right now.
Bill, a typical bill? Or?
And your average sewer bill is $50. And roughly, again, I'm just as back in the envelope math, the average water bill is $40.
Okay.
So if we're doing 3,000 for sewer, you do that proportion, you get 2,400.
And I think, if I may, Administrator Zimmerman, the funding doesn't necessarily have to come from the same place. The funding could come from the water department. It can be an expense line item to be paid towards a bill. It doesn't have to be out of the state revenue sharing or general fund. I think if we, as a committee, decide that we want to provide some funding for a program, then the administration can figure out the program and how to apply it in the billing system, right?
It would take a little bit, but yeah, we probably could.
Yeah. And we're just saying that we would like to provide this funding. I mean, that's the discussion. It's not we don't want to establish the program, but we want to make sure there's some funding there for the administration to establish a program.
I wanted to put it in the government relations so that all of the subsidies come out of the same fund. So that we can track that. Okay. Because sometimes if, we only have 11 customers that are subsidized a year. That's our limit. And that's for sewer and electric. Electric first, sewer. And if we throw water in there, that may eliminate, probably not eliminate their whole bill, but a good portion of it.
Yeah.
I just want them. If that's what you want, we'll try and figure it
Okay.
out.
So is there consensus to move $2,400 out of the water fund, the water contingency to?
Water subsidy.
Okay, I'm seeing more yeses than I'm seeing no, so, okay, water subsidy, okay. Sorry, Mary Ann. But it's all Bernard's fault.
You can beat me later, Mary Ann.
You got that coming, right?
That's pretty lit.
Okay, any more in water?
This is the.
That's the water.
Yes.
The USDA loan.
That's no water. Yeah, okay, so the next set of pages is water system.
If we're done with water.
Yeah.
Water system
Upgrade project. Anything on that?
Well, where's that again?
That's
Right,
right.
next, the next. We're gonna right corner. Okay,
So, this is the normal water payment, annual payment, but we're also proposing that we pay the money that we collected on the project was being built to shorten the length of a loan. It would take it from a 40-year loan to a 33-year loan if we paid that additional $777,304. It's what we promised, the council promised when we passed the rate increase.
You have a rough idea how much money that will save us not paying an extra 2 years worth of it?
I don't, and again, quite frankly, I can't tell you because the paperwork is gone. I can't, the files aren't gone.
Oh dear.
We can estimate it, I think off the top of my head, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000. But, I mean, there's theory here. We took a 40-year loan out to do the water system. It will probably need to be replaced in 30 years, which will be double paying over 10 years.
Yes.
That's unfair that the citizens that are functioning are paying for it right now.
Mhm.
I can't throw extra money at it. It actually comes down to probably 32 years because we have to hold 1 year's final payment in reserve. So when you get to your 32, you make that final payment and it's done. But it was the promise that the council made when we took the loan out to do the water project. And it has not, that promise has not been fulfilled.
I would say from a financial point of view and then also PR point of view, it's a win-win-win. All the way down the line, we save extra interest. We are ready to take on another loan when this system fails and needs to be replaced. And we make good on our promise to people. I think it's great.
Okay, so this has got a lot of discussion when we get our COSA for the water utility. And my understand is that we did do the math and we learned that this loan was like a 1% loan. And paying it off early when our LGIP is paying 4% does not make financial sense. When you can pay off a loan at 1% or make money at 4%, you take the 4%. Now, if that changed someday and somehow the loan or the LGIP was under 1%, then of course pay it off. But our math at that time was we should not pay this loan off early if we're making a lot more than the cost of the loan. Now, that's my first question. What is the loan rate on the USDA loan?
You don't have the paper.
You don't have it,
Yeah.
no, I thought it was 1.8%.
How do we have that? We had that conversation. We all remember, the council should remember that, right?
There was a lot of information that we were given that I'm not sure where the information came from or if it was correct or not correct. But I remember we were gonna say how it was proposed as that if we kept doing what we told the people, because I was actually a council member when we made this promise to the people, that they would save over 400,000. But by paying off the loan early. I'm not so sure that the information or numbers that we were given were correct, because anything that I have researched that we were told was not correct.
So she's gonna go find out what the percentage is.
Okay.
On our amortization schedule that we had to recreate. That'll tell us what percentage. What I can't tell you is what the percentage is on the local government investment pool, because that flexes every time.
Well, I just looked it up. It's 4%.
It's 4% now.
And Mary Ann is going along and fixing all these, so we have papers, so we know what loans, and same with grants, all the grants files are gone.
Oh, we got it for 2%.
So she's
That's
getting all
what
the
you
documents.
I don't remember, I think
For
it's something like 2%. But also, Tom, you remember, we promised, we started collecting the money
Yes.
for it at the beginning of the project. It took
Before
3
we
years to
started.
get the project done. That's where the $777,000 and the council at the time said, we will pay this off early. And that's what I'm going on. I understand, it's 2%, 3%, 4%. Yeah, you can make money on it, but there was a promise made by the council to shorten the period of that we're paying back so that when we don't overlap, at the next time we have to do a large payment.
You were the mayor then, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they did,
And we even.
but still, but Robin, things changed, we got it, super, we did a big project, because it was a super low interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
Times are changing, and times are changing, Bernard, not that it's a better deal for us to just say, let's stick with that.
Better deal.
Yeah,
By like $500,000 better deal.
well, times change.
Yeah.
Times change, all we were doing was trying to do the best thing we
At
could.
that time.
But that's right.
Yeah.
Times have changed,
Right.
interest have changed, that's why we did it, because they were so low.
Okay. Courtney,
It sounds like the point of the promise to pay it off early, the intent is to save money. And to follow the intent of that promise. If we're making 4% on the LGIP and if it's 1% on the USDA loan, then the intent of that promise was to save the residents money and not paying it off early. If all of those things are satisfied, will be what saves the residents money.
You can.
It's 1.5%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
okay, so, okay, so, but if you do it that way, Bernard, then the interest that we're making should also go into paying off.
Yeah.
I'm loving that. Let's do that. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, please.
I mean, if we're saying that we
Yeah,
were.
now we're talking.
well,
Yeah,
See?
well,
See?
so. I guess I'm gonna have to take a look. But if I reduce the loan, pay this $770,000, how much are we gonna save in interest? Versus how much are we gonna make in interest if we leave it there to the end?
Correct.
And I'm here to tell you, I don't think we're gonna make more interest than we save. I'd have to run the numbers.
Yeah.
And so I will leave this to the next.
so again, this is an issue we're not gonna be able to solve tonight.
Okay.
We've got 2 meetings.
All right, well, can we not make this budget item for $777,000 and just leave it as a reserve? That's all I'm asking.
Let me see if I can't do the analysis between now and next time,
Okay.
and give you the answer.
Yeah.
I really go back and see.
Yeah.
okay, the promise was, we put it as a separate line item on your utility bill. So when the loan is paid off, that comes off your utility bill. Right? Somebody has to do that.
Yeah.
Okay? And so, and that goes to the honor of, yes, it's a 40-year loan, but we think we're gonna get it down to 32 years. Let me do the math, see if I can figure out what the difference is. What the intent, that's not overlap, because then you're charging those people 20 years down the road, double for something that you should have paid for while you were here. But I will do that.
Is there a way, cause I know as a homeowner, if I'm already paying for a loan and then I have to turn around and pay for another loan after it was promised I would pay it up early, I would be unhappy. But is there a way to take the money and sit on it and gather the interest and then pay that loan off early later when it's worth more?
That's, I think that's a
That's
good question. I think that's.
Yes, the answer is yes, yes, you can.
Maybe, yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
So we would still pay it off early, but you would.
Do it in a different way.
Right.
And it's save money. That's
Well,
true.
well, let's see, and if we
Yeah.
can't, and I'm gonna say that if we can't get those answers, that's a question for council to resolve, because I think it's really time, we are just really stuck in time. Okay, let's go on to coercion control, that's you too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's the next page, next item in your book. Anything on that?
Again, if there's an additional payment, with the same principle. No, so we would pay off early, and we'd like the money for it. Can't tell you what the interest rate is, but it's the same argument.
It was low.
Well, yeah, I don't know if sure this was low. I know that one was low.
Well, we only did say.
Well, okay, we'll see.
Okay,
Much smaller.
any discussion on this one, or are we good, just leave it as is?
Oh, it's only 1%.
Yeah, same principle applied.
Same promise.
That's not, I mean, you're not gonna make a whole bunch of.
It doesn't make a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only 60 grand, right? But,
Okay, so we're satisfied with that one, we're gonna move on to sewer. You got 5 minutes. Sewer one. The next thing. The next thing. Okay.
I like nobody gets to argue about.
Oh, yeah. Well, you want us to make one? We can. Take it away.
So it's, you all know, our wastewater facility, or, we underwent remodeling it and revamped it, and so with that, there's not a lot of funds in this department. Everything's working well. From the upgrades, we've had a few bugs here and there after, and have worked through those for the most part. There was one thing that's gonna, I believe you guys put it in, please. For
It's sewer 4, magnesium
the max, okay.
treatment process.
So our operators that we have now, have requested this. We're having issues meeting, DEQ's level of pH that we're releasing into the river. So their recommendation on treating this, right now, we've been doing it soda ash, because we have soda ash on hand for the, erosion control. So we've been doing it with that, but it's a lot more expensive, the soda ash is versus this magnesium. Up front, it's expensive, but once we buy the tank and the pump, and then we figured that was the cost of, I think this is the cost per year for the chemical, yes.
So 30, so that's not the pump and
The pump is, I think, 8,900, it's about 10,000 for the equipment, and 2,000 for drill. So. Our current operator knows how to operate the sewer. And we have saved a ton of money in transportation costs and secondary treatment, to where we take our waste to Hood River. We used to take like 15,000 gallons a month to Hood River for treatment, and we paid for that. And, I think since Chris has been there, since July 1st, we maybe taken 15,000 gallons total.
So they've made a difference of 0.5% of, you know, the solids and the liquid up to like 2 to 3 solids, so we're hauling less.
All it less, costing us less. The other thing on the sewer budget I want to point out is the sewer 3 to the sewer budget, paying off $52,000. When we refinanced the sewer project, we still had 10 years left on the previous sewer project. And we said, okay, we took a loan out to pay that. Loan in 2018. It will be paid off this year in January 2027. And it was 86 or something thousand dollars a year. The final payment is 52,000. So yes, your contingency is 0 this year, but next year you don't have that 52,000 or $86,000 to pay for. That loan is gone.
Sherelle?
Has there recently been, or is there a plan to have a cost of service analysis for wastewater?
We just did a good one. We just did.
Yeah. Yeah, doing.
Yeah, all of the year.
You just increased it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What we just did was 2 years ago, didn't we? We just did
It
this.
was less than that,
Less than that.
like a year ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And rates are going up again.
Every year it goes up.
Yeah.
Isn't that sewer or something? I think that's sewer.
It's still.
Every year it goes up.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question on this utility maintenance worker one. Last year, 15,000, actual was 18,875, this year, 5,885.
They wanted the extra labor and instead of putting it out into
Okay.
extra labor, and because they didn't understand what we had done before. That was right.
Okay, so this should have been split, this number should have been split, but we don't have anything for utility maintenance worker two, or,
Because we don't have even.
okay, so where that other funds was for the, for the direct, for the supervisors then, what?
It is, the utility maintenance, which is spread across funds, that's not total revenue. And so when the extra labor, the summer labor
Oh, it's summer labor, okay.
was included into the utility maintenance for one instead of its own line item where it should have gone, again, that's spread out because it works across. The summer labor works across the markets.
Okay. I have a question on, oh, hold on, Bernard's first, okay.
Okay, so am I hearing you right? We just did this COSA, we set a raise. And then we're looking at a budget with no contingency again, that does not sit well with me. But if I'm hearing you right, were it not for this $52,000 loan expenditure, we would have had a $50,000 contingency. That makes me feel much better. Okay, thank you.
Just help me out.
It's all about me, how I feel.
Go ahead, Brenda.
So contracted service license on sewer one,
Yes,
we're
we're
12,000.
Sean's gonna have to help me with this one. We have to,
Contract service license.
we have to at least want to have
Bottom sewer one.
sewer one contractor service license.
Very bottom, yeah.
Very bottom. We have to have a certified wastewater
Collections.
collections. We don't have that. We don't have that certification, so we have to pay for that certification to make our system.
And tech don't have that, that's not included, what
That's
they
correct. Although.
Is there any other costs that go along with this contract service license, or is it just that there's no perks or benefits or nothing?
No, no.
Just roll right into the contract, thanks.
Okay. So there's also been talk of doing the in-lab testing, in-house testing. Is that reflected anywhere in this budget or?
That's not in this budget because it hasn't been flushed out.
Yeah, okay.
No
Still
pun
great
intended.
potential.
Very funny.
Okay, so we're past our thing. We could just go to 9:40. Okay with
Is
that.
everybody-
7 more minutes.
Okay.
10 more minutes, guys.
Okay, thanks.
So we can get that.
Okay, so, and Mary Ann, maybe you remember this, but when we did our COSA, I can't remember whether we were working off the old contract or the new contract. You remember which contract we were using when we did the COSA last year?
It was the old.
Okay, so this contract is significantly higher than the previous one.
Yes.
Everyone saw those numbers,
Yeah.
right? It almost doubled.
Yeah.
So was our COSA accurate, given the fact that we doubled our contract, wastewater treatment contract services? Part of me says we under budgeted in cost, in analyzing the cost of service for that part of the service of the sewer utility.
Again,
And
okay.
I wonder, again, do we need to revisit our COSA
Okay,
to
but-
make sure our rates properly reflect this higher cost?
Okay, but that's not this issue. That's a council issue. That's not something that they can only budget on the money that they're getting now. So if we want them to get more, then we're gonna have to work on that as a council. So that's not at this time.
Okay, well, I just want that, I want it for the
Okay.
record that it came out in this budget conversation.
I
That we
agree.
might have underestimated on that.
Agree,
That's
but
all I'm saying.
that's something we'll have to figure out in council. So I don't wanna go into the weeds on things that we're not gonna be able to resolve tonight. Anything else in this that you wanna tell us about or any?
Pretty straightforward.
That's pretty much covered.
Yeah. So it costs us $250,000 a year to run the treatment facility with the new company.
Yes,
Okay, I have one other one. Here we go, just because I'm confused. So the utility maintenance worker 2, is that in the org chart?
It'll probably,
So why do we need that?
because it'll fall off. It'll probably
There's
fall off.
nothing here.
right, there used to be.
Yeah, we used to have the different levels, and we just haven't taken it out.
Okay, so in theory, that should be gone.
It used to be history, and then used to have paperwork, but we just did do it.
I understand, that's, I was just having, thank you.
Okay, any more questions on that? We got 2 more tiny little phones. Okay, next one is the sewer bond refinance.
That's the one we're paying off this year.
Okay, please. Alrighty. Got anyone, and then the sewer facilities.
I think, yeah, but I don't know what the answer is. Somebody grabbing it.
Wastewater. Say.
2.75%.
No idea. This is the one we're doing.
Oh, yeah, that's another, we don't have to pay. That's just the USDA.
So that's the loan interest.
That's the low
The
end.
BISDOR or the USDA? Two
USDA.
loans.
USDA,
USDA.
Is 2 point,
Is or.
3.75.
Oh, separate.
You don't have to.
We don't know what his Oregon is, because we had to call them and ask them, what are we paying you for?
Wow.
I have to ask a question, so on sewer facilities project 1.
Oh, okay.
under expenses and debt services, when I look at the numbers in the proposed budget, they don't add up to 842,000.
Like I said, in every spreadsheet, there's an error.
That's a big one.
What is she saying? What does it add up to?
It's still, it's not that, 20, 66,
4,000.
150, 280, 380.
That's a great question to begin the next meeting on.
All right,
I think there's a misplaced decimal.
I just thought maybe I missed something.
No, I think the USDA, is maybe the initial payment.
Oh, yeah, I'll bet there is.
If it's consistent with all the rest of it.
That's, it's $386,000.
Yeah, so
$386,500.
it's a decimal or a transposition.
If it was divided by 9, it's a transition, but it's on.
No, I didn't, but it's a good thing for me to know when I'm looking for what I've got.
In your checkbook, the discrepancy between where you are and where you're at is divided by 9, then it's a transition.
Writing that down.
Okay. We made it through our departments, so. Did we do the electrical first?
Yes.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did, man.
Okay, so
Next week, we're gonna general fund, planning agency, museum, government relations, some of those are really simple, police, FCC, grant fund, tourism, and capital reserve.
So
And plus questions that are left over
from this,
tonight.
okay.
Thank you.
I have one question. There is one wish that you had, what would it be for your department?
A new boss.
That's not even funny, is it?
It kind of goes back to the building that we're paying rent on. It'd be nice to have a shop that had some heat in it and the snow that blow underneath the door.
That'd be sweet.
Heat.
Heat.
So we
Snow
come in,
they
we
don't
come
fly.
outside, there's no heat. I don't know, just, yes, we are, I get that we do need to pay rent, but I think what we're paying is enough for what we're.
I was gonna say, we can't charge you more money.
Shed. You know, this part of the building is fairly good, but you get out there, or our shop.
You're crumbling.
It's not, there's water, there's walls.
How much that you need for labor?
Nothing really, that's not related to the roof. It's coming through the retaining wall that separates part of our roof. It comes through the stone, ditches, stone.
The roof is leaking down on this end.
Yeah.
Down right into the.
Foundation's gonna eat everything.
Okay, so we're just gonna continue the meeting to next Wednesday, the Thursday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for staying. Thank you. You willing to get through this?
Good job running it.
Thank you,
Solid
Sheldon.
track, keeping it priority.
Yeah, for a whole meeting. Just wanted to get you out.